You are listening to Brain Gravy.
Look at this.
You give me that funny feeling in my tummy.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Brain Gravy. We are live right now. Here in studio, to my left, we have Will Moyer.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going, Will?
It's going good.
And then to his left is James Flint.
Hello, hello.
And then back in studio, after a long hiatus, we have Steve Wrigley.
May the force be with you, Ryan.
Yes. And then I guess we'll just get right into it. A big spoiler alert to all the watchers and listeners that may tune into this. We are going to be discussing Rogue One hardcore. We're going to be nerding out big time tonight. We're going to be talking about every fan theory, every personal theory, everything Star Wars. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want anything spoiled, just pause right now, then come back and listen to us.
If you haven't seen the movie,
Go
you're
watch
a piece
it.
of shit.
Go see
the
basically.
movie, yeah.
So you're not a real fan, are you?
So let's get right into it. I want to talk about probably one of my biggest surprises from the movie, Jar Jar Binks being revealed as a Sith Lord.
He's so obsessed with this theory.
Dude, I just love the theory. Have you seen the video?
I have seen it, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a video.
there is. There's like an 8-minute long YouTube video. I'd watch it now, but it would just halt the whole podcast. But it basically goes through the idea that Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord, and I gotta say, like, I understand that it's just one of these like fan theory videos that are kind of a stretch, but this one is it's a stretch, but you also, there's a little bit of like, maybe it's true. Maybe George Lucas just had this weird fucking idea that Jar Jar Binks was like a Sith Lord, and then there was such blowback from the first, because you remember when Jar Jar Binks first. After that, the Phantom Menace came out, everyone's like, "Who's this fucking Jar?" I mean, people still say that. Everybody hates Jar Jar. I have yet to meet one Jar Jar fan other than myself.
I remember walking out of the first Phantom Menace with the group of buddies in Wellington, and the first thing any of us said was, my buddy goes, "I don't get it. They killed Darth Maul and they let the fucking fish thing live."
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Jar Jar, he's definitely, he's not one of my favorite characters for sure, but when you think about it through the eyes that he may be the mastermind behind all of this, I don't know. You start to love him as a character, I feel like.
Oh my god.
It's just another prequel coping mechanism where it like reshapes all of his cartoon nonsense to like this master plot.
Yeah.
Legitimately, in Attack of the Clones, the only redeeming feature of that movie was that Jar Jar Binks like goes and comes in and goes, "Hi, I'm a senator now," and they all pretty much collectively turn around and go, "Yeah, fuck off, Jar Jar."
Yeah. But now let's get into it. What's like, we're all going to talk about Rogue One tonight. Thoughts, impressions, and I'll just get right off. I love the movie. You asked me earlier how I'd rate it out of 10, and I said a solid 8.5. 9.5 would have been what, I feel like I would have given it a 9.5 if I walked out of it with that classic Star Wars feeling like you had got from the original 3 movies. It would have gotten a 10 if it had that and also had a much deeper character development. That's the only thing holding me back from a perfect score. My personal thoughts. Go ahead.
I'd just like to get your opinion, because the first thing I obviously noticed in that film, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it, was no scrolling text.
Right.
Yeah, because it wasn't a Star Wars movie.
But it
I
still
know,
wasn't a
but
Galaxy
still.
one
Yeah,
time.
I feel like they could have had something like, "It's been several years since the Clone Wars. The Empire is tightening its grip on the galaxy. Small pockets of rebels are doing some stuff. And on a planet, the guy who built the Death Star is hiding with his family."
Right. Yeah.
You know?
No. I was
That's too much character development for this movie.
when it showed like the first, like, it has the Lucasfilm, and then it has the blue lettering. That's when I was like, oh
that
shit,
causes
it's about to
emotional
happen.
reaction in me.
Yeah,
still.
yeah.
The
Still.
Lucasfilm
It
thing
does.
coming up.
But yeah, I don't know.
I was glad they did that though. I mean, at some point they have to like leave the original trilogy stuff behind if they're going to be making these every single year until we die. And I like that was like only the trilogy movies will be doing some of that stuff. And then now it didn't have John
Right.
Williams doing the score either. So.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the score. I would have. I get that
It was
they.
okay.
It was like they changed the original score a little bit. I get, it's a
Yeah.
whole thing. It's not a Star Wars movie. It's an offshoot. But
You wanted, when that guy was like making the decision to shoot or not shoot Jyn Erso's dad, you wanted it to go.
Yeah.
God,
That's a pretty good impression.
was
I know. I was
really
about to say
Keep going.
that's
please.
exactly that.
It's turning me.
Maybe we should just listen to like John Williams' score for the rest of the podcast. Just zone out in our own little minds. No, I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. James, what were your impressions on?
I'm probably gonna put it at 8.5 too. When you said that number, like that's exactly where I would put it. It definitely had some faults, I thought, but overall, man, I was on that journey. I was on that ride. I mean, we can get into a lot of the things probably we didn't like when we go over here, I think, in a second. But it was pretty good. Man. It brought me back to that feeling, and then. Since it's spoiler, just the way the whole movie ended, I loved it. Like I was like, "That's life right there." Like,
Yeah.
The last 5 minutes of the film is probably where I have my biggest problems.
oh, really?
Yeah. Well,
What's your overall impression? If we're
Yeah.
doing
What's your
those?
overall impression before we dive?
I
into
mean,
each thing?
I love the whole film. I just the one thing I feel like I was talking to Ryan about a while ago was that I kind of feel like Hollywood got in the way of true Star Wars. What I would have wanted in true Star Wars fan service, like take the end of the film, let's like jump straight to it, but take the end of the film, for example. Like I feel like for Hollywood movies, they wanted to have this big like climactic ending where it felt like the plans were just within Darth Vader's grasp,
Yeah.
almost a little too literally,
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
forgetting that things that are within Darth Vader's
He can
grasp
just-
aren't things he can reach out and
Right.
like they're things that he can see.
He could force
You
pull
know?
anything to him.
And then that need to have the blockade runner be like taking
Yeah.
off from that ship,
That was
whereas
a little too over the top, right?
I know I feel
That's
like
yeah, I see what you're
it
saying.
doesn't sync up with the dialogue in A New Hope, where Darth
True.
Vader says, your ship received a transmission, and she says we're on a diplomatic mission. I mean, with the narrative now from,
But she's got to say that. What is she going to say? Yeah, that was our rebel ship. We were running away from you.
yeah, but like Darth Vader should be like,
I literally saw
I
you.
literally saw you
Yeah.
flying away. They should have. It should have been more like I was. As I was watching it, I was going, "Oh, it's all wrong," because they should have
Yeah.
had Princess Leia on her blockade runner further away from the battle. They could have had the same tension. Darth Vader's fucking shit up in the
Right.
spaceship.
That was so cool.
They're trying to upload the transmission to her ship, which is far
Yeah.
away from the battle. She's there
yeah.
receiving it. They come in. He kills everyone on the bridge. One of their monkeys goes, "Lord Vader, they managed to get a transmission off to a ship that's just outside the battle zone. Well, prepare my Star Destroyer for hot pursuit." And then we see Princess Leia go, "Let's get the fuck out of here."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it would have gelled more with.
That would have made more
But other
sense.
than
yeah.
But other than that, yeah.
I know, and plus, like when they had it with the chip or whatever, and everybody else just shoots off in the fucking hyperspace, and it's the one ship left behind. I'm like, why did everyone leave? That's the most that has the fucking Empress on it, and you all just shoot off all of a sudden, like minor ships that could have easily thrown themselves in the way of like a fucking Star Destroyer. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We can get into that. Let's just start at the beginning and just go through this piece
Wait,
by
you gotta
piece.
ask.
Wait,
what
oh,
was
yeah, yeah,
your-
Let me give my
Yeah.
opening statement. Or
Yeah,
whatever. I really enjoyed it. Like while I was watching it, I liked it. When I got out of the theater, I really liked it. And there's so many parts of it that I just loved watching it. And I think it's a prequel that enhances the original trilogy. I feel like as Star Wars fans, that is something that we should be like super happy about. I mean, as any fan with any property, having sequels or spin-offs or prequels that actually enhance the original thing is like that's what you want.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's really rare.
Right.
Like as a quick point to that, like when Mon Mothma says like heaps of people died to get us this information, we now know what she
Right.
means. Right?
Yeah.
She
She was a
actually.
little too cavalier about it.
Sorry,
though,
I gotta be like pedantic nerd. She actually says that in Return of the Jedi about the Bothans.
I said,
What?
I
She
said
says
the
many
same thing.
Bothans died to bring us this information.
What does she say? There's
So
nothing
that's
in the
for
first
the other
one.
Death Star then.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
ever talk about
go.
how they got the plans.
In the
I
first
said
one,
that-
she's mad casual about it. She's like, "Yo, these plans were a snap, baby."
she's not in it. She's not in any of them until Return of the Jedi.
Oh wow!
And she was in the prequels, but then she only shows up in Return of the Jedi, and she says many Bothans died to bring us these plans. And
That
of course,
shows how
that was a setup by the Emperor.
it shows
Yeah.
how clouded my memory is.
I know. Well, I mean,
Right.
how many? There's
It all
every
kinda blends
single
together a little bit.
fucking movie has plans that people are handing off, and so it gets confusing. But so that's what I think is the positive thing about it, and I still think it was a really good movie. But my negativity that you will hear throughout the rest of this is mostly about. I saw glimmers over and over again of what I thought would be a really, really great movie that would be much more like sophisticated and deep than almost all other Star Wars movies, maybe except for like Empire, and like could have elevated the whole series. And I think they kind of like pulled their punches on it or
In what
messed
way?
it up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do we want to get into like the specifics of it?
Yeah, no, I think you're right though about your first point as far as like, and I guess I never really considered that until you said it, is that it does enhance the original 3 that everybody loves.
And
I mean,
especially
definitely.
A New Hope. Like it
Yeah.
made me want to go watch A New Hope. It
Right.
fixed some of
have
the.
you watched it yet?
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay.
And it fixed some of the like annoying things that people always bring up about A New Hope, like
the Death Star. It's like, really, they're going to build this giant, massive thing
Right.
in this one spot, and you're going to blow it up.
and
That's
you're
so
gonna
dumb.
shoot a torpedo down the exhaust port, and the
Right.
whole thing just explodes instantly.
Yeah.
But then, like, there are a few problems with like again, like that Hollywood thing. Like, this just popped into, I just thought about this, but it's like, and I hope I've got the right movie. I hope I'm talking about A New
I'll
Hope,
correct
not
you.
Return of the Jedi.
Eventually get thrown out of here.
Seriously,
Get out of here.
of course, it's old white beardy guy, isn't it? Just talking to all the X-wing pilots in the original stuff. But there's that scene where Tarkin is with Princess Leia, and he's like, "We're going to test the Death Star on your planet.
Oh, yeah.
We've tested it twice at half-mast. Okay, we've had 2 goes. that to me was a little bit weird that they had the Death Star do 2 little like needle half shots because the Death Star seems to somewhat diminish it then in A New Hope because it like shows up and the Rebel Alliance like see it for the first time. They're like, oh my god! Surely there would have been a few pilots who were like, oh dude, I saw this thing the first time round and it was scary as shit then, and it's still scary
Yeah.
now. You know.
That is like one thing that and I don't know if it was ever addressed in the films, but one thing that I did like is that they showed that the Death Star, you could warp it, because that was one of the biggest
How
things.
does this thing get around?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And when at the very end, last scene, when they're like the massive object is coming out of hyperspace, and you know it's a fucking moon size fucking.
But then wasn't it in A New Hope, like when it sort of shows up, you kind of feel like it's supposed to be this big secret weapon that no one has seen, and
Yeah.
then in Rogue One, like everyone's kind of seen it.
Yeah.
It's still supposed to be secret in Rogue One, I believe, right? Because they were talking about hiding it from the Council. Like
Yeah.
there was one discussion in Rogue One where they were talking about showing the plans to the Galactic Senate as like, hey, you're fucking people, you're stepping out of bounds. But I don't know if that was ever. I don't know if
They
that,
say early in A New Hope that like the Emperor dissolves the Senate.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like that's their plan, I guess, is take this to the Senate and have them do something about it, and then so the Emperor's like, we're not going to have a Senate anymore.
Yeah.
But the cat's out of the bag when it shows up in that
Yeah.
battle at the end of.
I wonder if it works
True.
because we're not with anyone who would know. Like
Right.
Luke and Han and Obi-Wan don't know, and Leia's already on it by the time
Right.
anyone talks to her about it.
No one took a photo. Like there was
Yeah.
no dude on
No
one
one
of those
Snapchatted
starships. who was
it?
like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get a selfie.
There's
with
no
this.
Twitter in the galaxy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how that. I mean, I think you're supposed to just assume they're spending the whole time during A New Hope. The actual Rebel Alliance is spending the whole time like recouping after this battle and preparing their attack.
Right.
And they don't have the plans yet.
But
And
but it does feel like when the Death Star shows up at Yavin, that like that's kind of the first time the Rebel Alliance has
Yeah.
encountered it. But it's kind of not the first time they've encountered it.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that's true.
So there's some
I gotta
little-
rewatch A New Hope.
And like you'd think
Yeah.
someone would be like, "Yo, Tarkin, did we really need to blow up one of our own bases, dude?" You know, there's just those little things.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all secret dialogue that you don't see. It happens off camera.
You got to get rid of all those other stormtroopers that don't show up for the rest of the trilogy.
That's how they do budget cuts in the Empire. Eh? The Death Star just rolls up and just does it.
Got to do another test, guys. Sorry. It's a,
Yes.
We're not using both testicles. It's just one nut.
That's how they shut down their bases. Scarifing. They scarif their bases.
yeah. I also like you keep saying it as far as like that last base. It does. It's a like the base looked like basically a sandals resort.
Yeah.
It's probably
Oh, yeah.
like of all the places to get stationed as a stormtrooper, how great would it be to be stationed there? Because
Yeah, that's a cush job.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have like military issue like just like sandal footwear for the beach, people to walk on the beach.
It's
with.
definitely the best single climate planet that shows up across any of the movies.
sure.
100%.
There's like you could be stationed on Hoth, or you can get Sandals Beach Resort.
It was so Saving Private Ryan too. That action scene.
They just
there
wanted
at
the beach.
end.
That's
yeah,
why.
I was
You know,
like,
you want the beach.
yeah.
The beach warfare.
Yeah,
cool.
it does. Yeah, it was great, but I just want to jump right into it. I'm anxious to
let's do
start
it.
at the
Let's
beginning.
Start breaking everything down.
My biggest so the beginning started off going to Urso's father. And what's her first name? Jen.
Jen.
Yeah.
Galen Urso, I think his name
Galen
was.
Urso, yeah, and
Her
he's
brother's name was Antonic. I'm sorry.
Terrible.
Wah, wah.
Terrible.
and he's just the scientist that is obviously trying to hide because he's one of the probably the most brilliant scientists that the Empire has.
Can I tell you what I thought that scene was going to be in the opening of the
Yeah.
film with that ship? I was like, oh shit, we're going to see Darth Vader hunt down like one of the opening scene is just going to be Darth Vader hunting down a Jedi Knight. And
I thought
then
so
we're going to get
too.
into the story.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's just some fucking farmers and an Imperial dude.
Well, you know what I
Yeah.
loved about that scene, and it's always one of the things that I like in sci-fi is when they have really futuristic shit in a backdrop of something really
Braveheart.
Rural and rustic.
rural.
and,
Yeah,
They did a really good job with that in this movie. Like, she still had to go pull that lever at the end, you know, to like, she couldn't just digitally do it. So I liked how they did blend it in to, you know, try to match the old technology when they made the first movie.
Yeah, everything is
Yeah.
data tapes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
There's no Wi-Fi.
yeah.
There's no Wi-Fi in the Star Wars universe.
But so that's the whole first scene, and just to do the whole first half hour, it cut like that was one of my biggest issues with the beginning is like how it just jumped from one place to another so quick. There was really no introductory character development at all, and I was on board with it. Because like you're expecting that lull, but I just felt like the beginning kind of jumped around too much a little bit for my taste.
I felt really like sad when Jin's mum like popped up with the gun and she
Yeah.
goes, I need to point the gun at you, and they're like, why? And she's like, because I need to die to make this more sad. I
know.
could just be hiding with my daughter right now, but it would be less sad. So instead I'm here.
And if she had the balls to do it in the first place, why not just take your chance? You were pointing right at him, pull the trigger. You know you're going to die, but at least
she
She
does
did.
shoot
She
him.
did shoot
She
him in
does
the
shoot him.
shoulder. Hit him in the shoulder.
after she
right?
gets shot, she gets shot, so it throws the fucking weapon to the side and all
But
that.
like, what are you doing? You don't go, hey, I'm over here and I'm going to shoot you.
Right.
You just shoot him.
Yeah.
You try to shoot as many of them as you can before they realize where you are. It is good to see that the stormtroopers are just as good a shot as ever, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those black stormtroopers are on point, right? They nailed
yeah.
it.
It's like is it like a rib? Like someone goes in and like there's some dick stormtrooper who takes all their blaster nozzles and points them all in different directions, like windshield wiper, like liquid sprayers on cars.
It's almost like the front of a super soaker that, remember, it had all the different type of...
Oh, yeah.
Nozzles.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just use the one that's just like...
Spray.
That was like contracted out by the Empire to the lowest bidder to some crappy manufacturer all their weapons.
Well, that's like one thing I did like about this movie is it tied up how there's just like that one section of the Death Star that can like this. You have this whole Death Star, but this one little section you just like drop a bomb in it and it destroys the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because there was that thing in Family Guy. Remember how Family Guy did a redo? They call it something Dark Side or something like that. And there's a scene because Stewie is Darth Vader, right? And like some guy walks up to him and he's like, so how's the Death Star coming along? And the guy's like, oh, really good. There's just this one section at the top. We just have to, we're just patching that up. We have to send some guy. And then he's like, well, can we get it done now? And the guy's like, well, yeah, we could get it done now, but. And then it does something, but Stewie decides to just tell the guy to like get like an estimate first and all that.
That's too expensive.
Yeah, but so it's nice that this movie kind of wrapped up why that one little fucking thing would be so vital to the whole.
Somebody was going to build the Death Star anyway, so I may as well build it and build it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good way to work that in, right? It's like, okay, I mean, the motivation there is a little weak, but at least now we get that like kind of knowledge. Like, all right, he's doing it so he can build a weakness, right? So,
Yeah.
that's good.
I thought that was really cool how like that's one of my that's what I really liked about this movie is how it tied into the original so well. Every little part tied in pretty well. I didn't see anything from the writing side that was like, other than like what you pointed out at the end. I guess, was there anything else in that movie that there was a serious
I got
error?
one of the biggest consistencies in the Star Wars universe that they managed to stay true with in this is that no matter, like we say here, if a child goes missing and the parents don't find the child in the first 48 hours, you'll never find the child. Whereas in the Star Wars universe, if a child goes missing, they're guaranteed to find their parent again.
Right.
Albeit like 10 years, 20 years later.
Yeah.
But parents will always be reunited with their child at some point.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You just can't keep a family apart in that galaxy. It is impossible.
That's funny.
If you don't know who your dad is, he's working for the Empire.
He's
Oh gosh. That's funny.
No, there was a lot of... one of the things... This is probably from the extended universe. If we had Tim Munir here, he would know. But the Death Star was powered by Kyber crystals. I thought was awesome.
Yeah. So
Because it made it more like a Sith weapon instead of like this random piece of technology. Like the Emperor's like, oh, you Jedi, you use these crystals to build your lightsabers. I'm going to build the biggest fucking lightsaber
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
It's going to be a moon-sized
that's
lightsaber
crazy.
that can destroy planets. And I just like that as like a slap in the face to the Jedi, and how it makes like the Emperor, like he just always goes bigger. Like they always want more power.
Yeah.
So
And
we'll
even
just
more-
mine all these crystals. That'll be my lightsaber. Like
Yeah.
this giant planet.
And in an even
lightsaber.
more
So
evil
nuts.
twist, he used the green
It's
crystals, which is the color of the consular, who are supposed to be the negotiators of peace.
He didn't make it red. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Why wouldn't they make that beam red? I guess it's probably because when they were first doing like the movie, they didn't really there was no like extended universe,
Yeah.
and all this stuff. But it would have made sense to have that beam be red.
That's true.
either way, it's
know.
just a giant lightsaber in space. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
The
so
Emperor's
cool. It's so
giant lightsaber.
badass.
Yeah, I didn't realize till you said it after the film that that is a planet where like the Jedi go to like get their like isn't in the Jedi universe there's a whole process of when you become a Jedi you have to go find the crystal that becomes
Right.
like your
To build your own lightsaber.
yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, that maybe that is a planet that's been talked about. Is it called Jeddah?
Yeah.
But
so,
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the backstory of
does
it.
that
but
mean, is that where the Jedi come from? Because essentially from the planet Jeddah, you might be a Jedi?
maybe that makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not from the expanded universe, but that's where that massive. That's the first time I've heard of the planet Jeddah.
That's
anyway.
first time
It
I've
does
heard
make
of it.
sense though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Jedi
There was
come
that
from
big
Jeddah, yeah.
statue was there of the big
There was-
fallen over
Right.
Jeddah.
That was
Yeah.
awesome. I love seeing that.
I
statue.
know. I didn't notice it till afterwards, and you said that, and I went back and looked at a picture because I was eating. Like that's the one thing that I hate myself for when I fucking go into a movie theater. I overdose on fucking popcorn. I'm just like,
But you're
shut
looking at it.
I was looking at my because I think one fell, and I didn't want people to just think I was. So I was like, oh, just get that one so people don't think I'm too much of a slob. And then I looked up, I'm like, oh, what was it? Oh.
Dude, people are in the Star Wars movie. They're not going. I'm just going to take a break from this film to see if
That's how
anyone
that's how
is having a
narcissist.
terrible time with their
know.
popcorn.
Hey,
That's what
get
a
your
narc-
popcorn, you asshole! You're like, what?
Hey, you slob! What?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm the only person in that whole thing. Like I'm the only person that's
Yeah.
dropping popcorn. If you've ever seen the floor of a fucking theater, it's pretty much popcorn particles.
Take it easy,
There's
Jar
probably
Jar.
security cameras and someone sitting there being like, look at this slob in the second row covered with popcorn.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I guess that's what a narcissist I am. I think that people are looking at me when they're watching the fucking Star Wars film.
They got heavy in the parallels. It's because you go away from the little farm thing, and the guy goes off back to the Empire, and then the little girl's all at her, and then we see her many years later. Now she's a full-grown woman.
Right.
Yeah.
But they were really heavy with that. Were heavy-handed with the whole parallels, I guess, to like things that are going on now, where they're like, yeah, we're the rebels, but Forrest Whitaker is like a militant extremist rebel.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
know.
and he was like half Darth Vader. He had, metal legs. He had a breathing apparatus. So, like, essentially, even if you're on the good side, you might get a little, militant crazy.
Yeah.
That's one of the other things I really liked is the presentation of the Rebel Alliance versus the Empire, and I think you can do the most superficial representation is like, this is the good guy organization and this is the bad guy organization.
Right.
And this movie went with like a much cooler one, which is like, it's a fundamentally different kind of organization. Like, it's not some top-down thing where someone says there's all these different factions and there's people that use tactics that the rest of them think they're extremists. They're like practically terrorists. They might call themselves freedom fighters, but like they're way too far. He's torturing people. Saul Guerrera is and stuff. And then there's, you know, other ones that like, all the pilots and stuff that went with her and the soldiers, they just like chose to do it on their own, and they're just like, we're just going to go do this. Like, there's factions and there's dissent. And it was cool.
I think that was one of the most nicely written moments in the movie, and probably one of the few, if not the only, like moment that God, I can't remember Jin's number 2, Cassian. When he says, "Look, you know, we're fucking saboteurs and murderers and assassins, and if we don't." Like, our only other option is to go away and live out the rest of our lives knowing that we did horrible shit for no nothing. Reason.
Yeah.
So we're all prepared to come along. And
that's touching on one of my complaints is when I said the movie's like smarter and more sophisticated than a lot of the other Star Wars movies. Like, that's a really interesting theme of like, if you're a good guy and you're fighting, but you're doing bad things in the name of the good fight, like, what does that do to you? Does that make you like a monster? Are you morally compromised? Are you good? And they set up a lot of that with Cassian, where they had characters explicitly calling him like a killer and a murderer and stuff. And, you know, he's trying to like justify it. Well, like, oh, you know, your father worked on the Death Star. Of course, that's, you know, morally justified to kill him and stuff. And I like that that's, you know, what motivated them, I guess, is they wanted some kind of redemption for that at the end. But I felt like the movie didn't really, like, it dropped in those themes, but then it didn't, like, go anywhere with it. Same thing with Saul Guerrera. Like, they set up all that stuff that he's an extremist, he's torturing the guy using this thing, and then they just kind of like, but then he dies and that's it.
Is that one of the things that you heard that was cut or was his like kind of arc or anything?
It wasn't. I mean, there's definitely other scenes and other lines of him in the other trailers.
Right?
Like, Ryan and I watched some of the trailers afterwards, and he has much different like lines. He even has a different haircut in it. He doesn't look as like
they cut a lot out from like that's like we went back and watched these trailers afterwards, and there was like probably at least 30% of the scenes from the trailers weren't. Maybe not. What are 30%.
These? What are the rewrites and stuff that?
Well, there was no. I don't think there's ever been an like official statement about specifics. What it was. People said they were redoing the ending, or they made changes to the ending. And I think a Disney studio exec said something about the first cut was tonally not what we thought like was in line enough with the other Star Wars movies. So we went back and made some tonal changes.
You think it was too dark, the first cut?
You know what I think it was? So this is touching on the character development thing. I think this, so total speculation. I didn't read this anywhere. Take this with a grain of salt. I think Jin was much like motivated by vengeance or by bad things and wanted to get revenge on the Empire. And they thought maybe that was too dark to have a main character in a Star Wars movie who's like out for revenge and wants to kill people.
Right, because she wanted to go after that guy after he was shot right at the end. Yeah.
And
so that makes sense.
Even one of the lines from Saul Guerrera in the teaser trailer is like, what will you do if they catch you? What will you do if they break you? If you keep fighting, what will you become? And I think that was also in that theme of like, if you're going out there and doing this for revenge, like, how will, you know, are you really a hero? Like, what is that going to do to you?
Yeah.
And the character did feel very confused, eh?
She kind of had no motivation in the beginning. And then there was lines, like Cassian says to her at one time, like, oh, it must be easy that you don't care about anything. And I remember being like, footage not found. Like Arrested Development, when they make a joke and then they'll go to footage not found. Yeah. Like, when did we see her not caring about anything? It just kind of opens and everyone's telling her like, oh, you're a piece of shit. You don't care about anything, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, an hour later, she's giving like impassioned speeches to like the rebel leaders,
weird.
And you're like, "What is going?"
That was a little weird.
I suspect that's what it was. That she started out wanting vengeance for her parents, and was probably like trying to rally rebels to do more extreme things in order to get back at them.
Because you see her opening, she's already locked up, like in the back of that prison thing.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a whole, something there.
Because you think that there would be. Sorry, they're like the. Just thinking about that, like there's some kind of arc of her, you know, she's like fucked off at everything because her dad and everything that happened there, and then, you know, obviously she finally finds her dad, and then she realizes that he had to make this tough choice, and then the only thing that her dad has left behind is these plans that are going to stop the Death Star, and you could understand why she would be hugely passionate about that and why she would want the rebels to actually go and fight for that, but it just didn't
It
Yeah.
felt weird.
Hell
It
yeah.
felt weird.
I know,
that speech, it's almost like she just went, guys, I just drank some really good acid. So
Yeah. It's like just take the 5 minutes of like her like having a moment of contemplation like to make that decision. That's all
Sure.
it would have taken.
That was. It felt very contrived.
Yeah.
That scene. But I mean, maybe it was even darker. Maybe she wanted to kill her dad. Maybe she was like thought he held him responsible for her family and stuff dying and her shitty life.
Yeah.
And she was like, he's a traitor. I'm gonna go kill him. And then when she finally meets him, then he like is like, look, I did this because I thought this was the best way to undermine these plans. And then she has the awakening, and she's like, okay, well, like, I want to keep fighting this fight, but not out of vengeance or not because I'm pissed at my dad, but because I think it's like the right thing to do. That to me would have been much more compelling. But I could see Disney studio execs being like, we can't have a main character who's like motivated by vengeance against her own father.
especially not a maid, eh?
A little too Freudian, right? A little too Freudian.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that was. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things throughout the whole movie is lack of character development.
I'm a crier in movies. I'm a notorious crier, sometimes even at commercials and TV shows and cartoons. And I was not sad at the ending of a movie where the main characters heroically sacrifice themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Like them on the beach, I felt like,
Yeah.
man, I should be like upset.
But you more
Right.
felt like, well, that's a loose end nicely tied up.
I kind of suspected it because none of these people are in the rest of the
Yeah,
original
yeah,
trilogy.
yeah.
So, but I mean, I was kind of sad when K2SO died.
Yeah, he was
It's-
awesome.
Yeah, he was cool.
Not to take a quick aside, you just made me think of it. You know what movie I fucking bawled at the other day? I do the same thing. I don't know why. I just like you get caught up in the emotion, and I guess you tie parallels to your own life. But the movie Big Fish at the very end,
I
when
remember crying at that.
yeah, dude, I fucking bawled like a goddamn baby at the end of that. I felt embarrassed in front of myself. Anyway, but
I
yeah,
think it's getting older or something, especially
Yeah.
movies about like your parents dying.
Yeah.
and stuff like it. It just gets you.
But when to bring it back around, K2 dying, I felt like my characters that I felt most, I guess, engaged in the movie were K2 and then the blind guy. So like,
Chirrut Imri, right?
Is that his name?
I was
Yeah.
IMDb'ing their
Yeah, I
names.
have
Yeah.
it
Is
up
that
right here,
is that I am the force and I won't shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am the force. The force is
I am
with
with
me.
the force and
I
the
know.
force is with me. Oh man, just
You-
too much.
you said it a little bit
much
too
That was a
long.
little too much.
Yeah.
but yeah, when K2 died, I just like, oh god, dude, like I didn't realize that I had developed a bond with that robot because
Yeah.
at first when I first, it's like
You guys have a
could-
lot of similarities.
me and K2.
Both robots. Any non-human set, like it's like Iron Giant. Iron Giant. Have you ever seen the Iron Giant?
Rock tree.
No.
It's like crushing at the end of Iron Giant. And what's the other one? Like Johnny Five, Short
Short
Circuit.
circuit.
Oh, wow.
Robots dying definitely gets me.
Yeah, because it's always like the pet, and it's like
It's
the
like
pet
a
that
pet.
helps
Yeah.
you throughout the journey, and then
They're
finally the pet
innocent.
has to
They're very
sacrifice
innocent,
itself
yeah.
to save you, and you're like, oh,
Yeah. But it is kind of cool when a movie can like make something that technically has no soul or is alive like seem like a real death. You know what I mean?
When he just drops that bag, that's the best. When she gives him that, like, they go, wait here, when they're going into Jeddah, into the city.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait here, and she gives him the bag. And then the final, like, beat before they go to the next scene is just him
throws
dumping the bag on the ground nonchalantly.
yeah.
You were probably looking for popcorn at that particular moment.
So looking around to make sure no one's seen me
Yeah.
drop it, more likely.
Or when she whips around, she shoots one of the droids, and then he's standing there. He's like, "You know
Yeah.
that wasn't me?" Like,
That
so,
was funny,
That was
yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah, like when they first introduced K2, it's almost like there was parts of that movie where I was like, I understand why they're doing this in this movie right now. It's because they need this character so they can sell this merchandise and have like because when children watch that, they're gonna be doing the K2 shit for the next fucking year. You know what I mean? Just like the little BB-8 was, and
Yeah.
so it's almost there was parts of this movie that I like. Maybe that's what they changed. Is like the first cut was like, well, we don't have enough of this in here, so we could sell this angle down the line. Or
That's really depressing if they do changes for marketing toys, but I mean, it's not out of the question.
I think
They did it
that's
with
why
BB-8 for
you had
sure,
such
dude.
Character bloat. Like,
It's a business. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, right?
there was so many. By the time you kind of got to the end, there were so many people all sitting in this one ship, and you're like, oh, I feel like we need one less guy here so I can get to know the
know.
other guys a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because they want to sell toys.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah, there was a lot of characters that I wanted. Like I keep coming back to it, but it's my biggest harp on this is because there was a lot of potential in characters there. The blind guy and his fucking friend with that fucking sweet ass gun.
But I'm wondering, did they plant these breadcrumbs because they might make a series? They may come off of this in some way, or like even books, and like explain the backstory of all these other characters.
Maybe. And I think some of
that's
them
your
have been in
tie-in.
like Star Wars Rebels, like the
I haven't
animated
seen
show
that
and stuff.
yet,
I
yeah.
haven't seen it either.
I
But
hear it's good. Actually, I hear it's really good. But
I think there are other connections for some of them, but I don't know. I mean, it seemed like by the time it got to that third act where there's like the big war scene, it was like all the character stuff is out the window, except for them dying.
Right.
And now it's just going to be like the battle scene.
and then you didn't even really care too much if they did
I
die
know.
because they didn't give you enough ahead of time.
Yeah.
you know.
I was kind of at the end. There was a little part. I mean, I get too distracted, I think. Sometimes I think too much about the logistics of what everyone's talking about. But I'm just sitting there going, okay, like I'm really into this and I hope they manage to get the plans. But at the same time, that seems like a really dumb place to put the switch.
Yeah.
That's going to turn on the relay. That's going to
Yes.
get the signal out. Like just there on that console. Outside, what if it rains?
Yeah.
That-
They're on the beach. It's gonna rain. Yeah.
This is another one of my complaints with that. They set up like so many like weird things that
Almost
had
like
to
a
happen
video
in
game.
order. Yeah, it was like a video game. We were like, okay, you got to get to this checkpoint and do this thing. But
Yeah.
and some of it, the whole thing with the pilot. I don't remember his name. Do you guys remember his name?
Oh,
Bodhi
we'll find
or-
it. Yeah.
I think
He
Bodhi.
reminded me of a rat. He looked like a ratty.
The thing with him, all he did was get on the transmission to say
Bodhi.
destroy the gate.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they were already up there trying to destroy the
Yeah,
gate.
yeah.
Like, you didn't need to send a dozen guys to die and sacrifice yourself to tell them destroy the thing that you're destroying.
But didn't he only have like 10% of his brain left since he was
They-
tortured?
they
So why are
also
they
dropped
listening to
that
him
angle.
at first?
That was
Yeah.
weird because it's like, oh, it's going to completely erase your mind. And
yeah,
then the guy
Saul
goes,
Guerrero's like, it might make you go crazy. And then he is crazy for one scene.
And then they listen to him at the end, like, you gotta go get that switch.
Yeah.
Like, they should be like, this dude's crazy.
no,
What
but
are you
even
doing
in
for
that
it?
moment, it's like instantaneous. It's like the guy's like leaning through him through the window and he goes, hey, and he's like, I'm crazy. I don't know what's going on. And then when we come back, he's like,
fine.
He's fine.
I know.
I think it's like, wasn't it?
spacey? But
I
yeah,
thought
he's
it was
pretty fine.
the guy, the blind guy, because the blind guy obviously is force sensitive, right? Like
Yeah.
Right.
we're all in
Something,
agreement on
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Like he would have been a Jedi if he was born like 50 years before that.
maybe. Or
I
maybe
reckon he
he
can
just,
actually see.
Or he just...
He's faking it.
yeah, or he just, he's just a little in tune with the Force, so like it can help him a little bit,
Yeah.
But not like maybe he couldn't be a Jedi, maybe just Force sensitive,
It's kind of...
Yeah.
Who's...
I thought
Maz from Force Awakens. I like that they're introducing characters that are like Force
Yes,
aware,
like
but
the
not
little
Jedi.
alien thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that own
That's
that
cool.
bar or whatever.
But I thought wasn't he the person that was like, there's someone in the next cell over, and like I thought maybe he uses the Force powers or something, like snap him out of it. That was
Oh, I thought it was just another thing that was
Yeah.
connected to like Saw Gerrera's and that Saw Gerrera's like personality and the theme of like war making you a monster over time.
Yeah.
Even if you're fighting for the good side.
Yeah.
And then I just felt like they wanted to steer away from like getting too into that.
Yeah.
But like
Even though that was my
felt
favorite
like
theme.
That's what the movie should be about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody's hands are clean at the end
Right,
of this.
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a very like sophisticated and complex setup of the Imperials versus the Rebels that like
We haven't seen before.
war makes you a terrible person, and in order for like Luke to be the squeaky clean hero, a lot of people had to do bad things and die. And like,
Right.
what do you feel about that? Like that's something that has to be dealt with and
Yeah.
recognized.
Because
and,
on an interesting level, the Empire are actually trying to bring about, like Vader wants to bring an end to the chaos.
right, yeah,
He wants
So
order.
he says to
and-
Luke and Empire, we can bring order to the galaxy and
Yeah.
stop this senseless chaos.
Once and for all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like they're running around and shaking people down and doing all of these things, but the end goal of the Empire
Peace.
is
I mean, authoritarians always want peace, and they blame the people fighting them for causing the problems.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
right.
It is funny too, like how like in the Star Wars universe, the Jedi in these Rebels are like the heroes, but it's funny because in real life, Americans occupying the Middle East is exactly, and then the military extremists in the Middle East, I don't think they have rationalized the things that they do are actually like extremely evil. In their minds, they're doing it for the sake of their people, for the sake of their religion.
Think about what Americans
It's the
would
same
do if
exact
like
thing.
there was a Chinese occupying force in America.
Yeah.
They would, there would
the
be
same
tons of
thing.
people doing
yeah.
those things, and they wouldn't think, oh, well, now I'm like a jihadi.
Yeah. It's interesting how we demonize one and make the other, a hero scenario. But
I wish that they had a little more. Maybe it's like they didn't have the guts to like go to something that's so kind of morally gray. But it felt like they were setting up so much stuff for that, and then they just kind of like, we're gonna have a big fight scene at the end, and then that's it.
yeah.
And even with her father, Galen, there was an interesting theme of like the rebels thinking he was morally compromised because he went to work for the Empire, and him being like, well, I did this thing where you join the system and you're part of it, but you're attempting to undermine it from within, and like I think that was the good call, but these rebels think that was bad because I also enabled the Death Star being built, and like, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And like, would it have been better had he just refused and died on in the opening scene?
Yeah.
And also that they just kind of like let it hang out there without ever addressing it.
Yeah, I was, and I said this before the podcast started. I really, really hope that they come out with an extended version that doesn't
There's like
have
a
to be
3-hour director's cut. It might be like the greatest.
That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
movie ever.
Yeah.
I agree.
That'd be cool.
I know that'd be, and like one thing that I'm really looking forward to doing, and I hope there's an extended director's cut because I'm really looking forward to the day when I can just sit down on the couch, watch Rogue One, and then go straight into A New Hope. Like
And
that's
then do Empire, and then
and-
do Return,
yeah.
and then Force Awakens.
yep, and just do the whole.
Yeah, we
fucking-
have. They're all chronological now, so we can go from
Yeah,
1, 2,
Don't
3.
no.
3.5.
No, we don't do any
You
of that.
gotta watch 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7. Right now, Rogue One.
I know this is like Star Wars 3.5, a Rogue One.
I can watch 1, 2, and 3 because I just pretend different stuff is happening at certain moments.
Yeah.
Like I found that if you just kind of pretend half of the things Anakin Skywalker says aren't happening.
I cannot reconcile that character with the Darth Vader from the original trilogy.
No,
like
they
my
dropped the
mind
ball so
refuses to make
bad.
that connection. The Darth Vader from the original trilogy is like dignified.
Moya, what about the
Yes.
Darth Vader that shows up in the last fucking reel
no,
of that
I
movie?
can't deal with any of it.
No, the Darth Vader that shows up in the last reel of Rogue One.
I mean, I could watch an entire movie, sound like a horror movie of Darth Vader terrorizing regular rebel soldiers and just destroying them. I mean, that was
I got a good kick out of that.
amazing.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Well,
yes,
you
kill
said
them
it
all.
earlier, and I'm taking your words on this on your Facebook post, but I wish that movie didn't show Darth Vader in that middle scene where he makes a fucking joke.
The first cameo made
It's
me cringe
bullshit.
so
Wait,
hard.
what joke was it?
no,
What did you
everything
say?
was good up until the joke.
I think, at first it's when they go to like his like molten lava castle
Yeah.
on Mustafar, and then he force chokes Krennic.
Right,
And he
right,
says,
right.
"Oh, I hope you don't choke on your aspirations."
Oh, that's right.
And it was
God,
like Arnold
yeah.
Schwarzenegger in Commando
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
like,
Vader doesn't say
stick
shit like
around. Yeah.
Vader says shit like, your petty desires for
Yeah.
are nothing compared to
Yeah.
the ambitions of
Or
the
he
Sith."
just says nothing. He just
Yeah.
fucking chokes you and walks
Yeah,
away.
yeah. You're right.
And so that whole it put a bad taste in my mouth because it reminded me of the prequels by being on Mustafar.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, like prequel references here. And then it had to make a pun, and I was like, get out of here. What is this?
Yeah.
I'm
But
waiting-
at the end, it kind of redeemed it because he was such a badass.
That
I
was
mean,
awesome.
That's the Vader that like the stories about throughout the galaxy. Like
Yeah.
everyone is afraid of him. It's just like this force of nature.
Because I think like in the
a force of the Force.
like just like your normal everyday Joe doesn't really know about, like, it's not like Vader's on television screens, like he's almost like a legend and a myth that appears once in a while, I believe, right?
He's not even in charge of anything until Empire Strikes Back. Like when he's on the Death Star, Tarkin is the one who's in charge of it. So he's just
Yeah.
like he's like the Emperor's like
Lapdog.
dog that
Yeah,
he sends
yeah.
out to like do the brutal dirty work.
Let's talk about that.
I was just going to say, though,
Tarkin.
you know about that bit where he makes that pun and he goes, "Don't choke on your ambitions." They don't know how wide open they've left themselves for people making gifs of like Vader turning around and going, "Your dick is that big." You know what I mean?
I was, yeah. Let's talk about Tarkin for a little bit and the
And I guess Princess Leia to a
Yeah.
larger extent, right?
Yeah, that's the ultimate spoiler, I guess, for this whole thing. But
they're getting so good at it. It's still a little like Uncanny Valley. Like you're like it's not, but man, it's they're getting good at that.
So
Wait,
I
what
talked
was
to.
that?
Oh, go Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, I've heard that before. What is that?
That's this idea. I think it's from like a Japanese like robotics guy. I can't remember the origin. Everyone should Wikipedia it. But it's the idea that like as you create more and more lifelike human replicas or robots that look like humans, like the real human's reaction to it goes up. Like we respond more and more positively, and then it hits a point where it's just a little bit off. And we respond like with horror, like, oh, this is, I can't put my finger on this, but it's like creeping me out because it's
you have a sense
so
it's
close,
artificial.
but just missing something.
Sense, mate.
Right.
That's the Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, that's like I guess it would have been from like Blade Runner, like when the robots from Blade Runner are just a little bit off, and if you after talking to them for a little bit and posing them those questions, suddenly you can. I mean, I guess it's like they're looking for subtle cues, but you can always tell that there's just something a little bit off.
I mean, the good thing is the one character they had to bring back was the one character who essentially had to do nothing but stand there, be wooden, and sound menacing.
That's true.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty... But that's what I feel like, I was talking about how Princess Leia just needed to be out somewhere receiving a signal.
Right.
That would have been much better for her from a CGI front, because they could have just had a face watching a thing, seeing the signal come in.
I thought they weren't even going to reveal her face. I thought they were just going to show her like long white
a silhouette,
stuff,
yeah.
and then you were going to know that she got it. But that was fine.
But don't you feel like that was, like, given the... what emotionally seeing Princess Leia should have been was almost overshadowed a little bit too much by their like ta-da!
I know.
Yeah.
It was way too close up.
It was
like
way-
the camera was here on her face pretty much. Like
Right.
and it was a CGI face, like
Right.
you knew that it wasn't her. Just put the camera a
They
little
were
far
one second
back.
away
They
from
were
drawing.
proud of themselves.
Yeah,
They were
exactly.
proud of themselves.
They're
Yeah.
proud of
and you could
themselves.
tell.
They're showing off.
They were
Look
like,
at what
one
we
second away
did.
from please grade our homework,
That's
Yeah,
a
right.
perfect way to put it.
But we talked to people who didn't know Peter Cushing and didn't know he was dead, and they couldn't tell. Multiple people.
Wow.
Yeah, they
really?
didn't know.
So I think it might be just like Star Wars fans that are like, every time he was on screen, I was thinking, how the fuck did they do this?
Yeah,
Did they get someone who just looked almost just like him,
Well, it started
and
with-
then they did a little CGI? But it turns out he was like full CGI creation.
Full on
to bottom.
CGI.
Yeah.
But I figured it out within. It took me a little bit, like at first, and then I knew, but it was so close that I didn't even care that they like it wasn't like the fucking redone cantina scene that they did in the where it has that dancing alien and it looks totally fucking stupid.
This is the thing. CGI, like, as better CGI comes out, we go and look at older stuff and we see it more as cartoony.
Yeah.
I had a film class and my professor showed us this movie that had dinosaurs in it from like really
Oh
early
yeah, the
on.
black and white one. With
I
like
think
that
so,
one?
yeah. And they were like claymation.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
pieces
like
of them
Land
were,
of the
falling-
Lost?
maybe something like that. And
Or the
he was talking about how like
Journey
when
to
this
the
came
Center
out
of the Earth.
in theaters, people thought these were real dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't tell. And then we look at it after seeing like Jurassic Park and we're like, oh my god, this is so cheesy. But then now, even if we go back and watch Jurassic Park, we're like, that looks cheesy. So
Yeah.
is that gonna like age really poorly?
I tell you what, you're right.
And yet
the
effects
original.
in the original Star Wars films
Because it's
haven't
real
aged
stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, those hold up
Even
so
They
George
well.
sprayed sweat on it and shit.
George Lucas didn't. I mean, I think when he was doing the special editions and when he was doing the prequels, he thought that like CGI was basically photorealistic, and you couldn't tell because he used it for so much. He had just full scenes of stormtroopers
And
talking to
Gungans.
each other, and Gungans. And now you go and watch it, and it's like cartoons.
Yeah.
You're like,
I do think the embarrassment of riches as far as special effects goes has kind of ruined a little bit of cinema as well, though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've talked about this before, but like, you lose that. They had to go, okay, so Empire Strikes Back. There's some of the best character development is when they're hiding in the asteroid and all that stuff's happening with Han Solo and Princess Leia, but that's essentially happening because they're like, we can get 10 more minutes of frame, but all we need to do is be filming on the Millennium Falcon set and occasionally tilting the camera from side
right,
to
just
side.
tilting it, and all the actors
Yeah.
like leaning
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
side.
Well, how are we going to make it interesting? We'll write good characters that are engaging,
yeah.
and it's one of the most engaging parts of the film.
Yeah.
But now,
conflict between human
Yeah.
characters interacting with each other.
that's right. But now they don't do that because they go, "Nah, we'll just have fucking 30 things blow up at the same time."
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why, like, you know, the one thing we've all said that we didn't really feel was there was like character development in this, but it was because they were choosing between, you know, are we going to have 5 minutes of really well written dialogue that further stuff, or are we going to have 5 minutes of
I don't know if it was that or if it was editing. Like that character development might all have been there, and then when they went back and they wanted to change the tone, they were like, we can't use this.
Yes, I guess what I really mean, yeah, you're right. And what I guess I'm really saying is that it's that they have that embarrassment of riches. So when it comes to editing, they have, whereas in like the first time round, they had a fistful of effects that they had to scatter throughout the film.
Sure.
Whereas now, when it comes to editing, they have a bucket full of effects,
and you can just do everything in post. Also, you can recreate. You can, you know, there was people speculating that they added in the whole space battle with the gate, and that wasn't actually part of the original ending.
Wow. Oh, really?
Because it was all CGI basically. So like they could have just gone in and been like, let's add a space fight in addition to the beach. It's a rumor. No one that I know has corroborated that from inside. But
I do worry that that's going to start becoming the trope of Star Wars films. It's like the end has to be a battle on the ground and a battle in space.
I know.
And if we can get one, a lightsaber battle as well.
Right.
Yeah.
They had a lot of restraint with lightsabers, and I really like that.
I really like how they used it in this.
Yeah. When that thing shows up, you're like,
I know.
Yeah.
That's how I've said this
dark.
before on my podcast, but lightsaber overuse is one of the worst things in the prequels, and the restraint in the original trilogy that like it's a very special thing when the lightsaber comes out.
Right.
That is a big moment.
Yeah.
It signals like this is going to be dramatic and intense. And Force Awakens did that, I think, with the ending lightsaber battle.
Yeah.
They like cheated a little bit by they had the like lightsaber versus the like glowy spinny stick thing to begin with. They were like, we're not going to go full lightsaber battle, but we'll show a little lightsaber.
Yeah, that dude was badass. What was his name? He had a.
He was just the traitor, traitor guy.
Oh no, that's what it was. It was TR-88.
Oh, is that what it was?
TRAR, right? Traitor. I guess
because he calls Finn a traitor, and then he pulls out his little baton.
Yeah.
But I admire them for their restraint with that instead of having. Because they could have written in some Jedi character that was using his lightsaber in every fight, or they could have had the full CGI lightsaber thing with Vader, and I'm glad they didn't do that. But
no, it was so neat that Vader just doesn't even do flips and shit anymore. Eh? He just walks and kills shit.
Yeah, that's what you want from. I know.
Do you reckon that all the stormtroopers who were with him then for the boarding party for the blockade runner in A New Hope are like, hey Vader, do we actually have to do?
Yeah, remember when you just killed a whole ship? Do anything here?
No, you guys go in this time. I'm gonna wait. I'm tired. My lightsaber's very hot.
That kind of fits though. Maybe he only has like. I think you could make a legitimate theory that Darth Vader only has like 10 minutes of combat ability at a time, and then he's got to go.
And then he's gotta go.
He's got to go to like his tank and recuperate.
I thought that was cool in this movie how they did show him in his tank and all that, because it just adds a little bit more to the fact that there's something underneath that suit. You know what I mean? And there's a whole story behind that. But you know,
and
that could have been that whole scene though. It could have been the guy walking in saying like Krennic is here to talk to you, and you see Vader in the tank, and then that's it, and then you move on, and then you know Vader's involved.
It's just a hint,
and then he shows up at the end and fucks up everyone.
One other part that I loved about the one part I loved about that middle scene is when they walk in and you see like the special stormtroopers that wear all red.
Yeah,
I don't know what. I want to know more about those people.
No, they'll ruin it. They'll ruin it if you know more.
How the fuck do you become a red stormtrooper? You know who I'm talking about?
It's like the Emperor's special guard that he always has around in Return of the Jedi. Just like the long red guys.
They look so fucking badass.
I think those are like Gungans that have switched over to the Empire.
Stop it. It's the Gungan guard.
It's like,
Jar Jar put him in place.
Yeah, because he is a Sith. See, it is all connected. Yeah, there you go.
I'm telling you, Jar Jar is a Sith Lord. It makes sense. Jar Jar is the only person that could do like those acrobatic flips.
Yeah,
you know that you only see Jedi. And
I've seen this YouTube video. Yeah, they break down every single thing he does. And like, only a Jedi can do this. Look at how he jumps from frame to frame. It's like, oh my god.
It's whatever you can either attribute it to George Lucas having terrible taste or a grand conspiracy theory, and every time it is George Lucas having terrible taste.
That's when you break it down like that.
That is the safe bet.
He was a billionaire by the time.
If young George Lucas met old George Lucas, it'd be like,
oh yeah.
Although from what I've heard as well, that like the whole reason A New Hope was good had nothing to do with him.
Yeah, it was edited by his wife, and it was a mess. Like it was Marcy Lucas or somebody that it was the original cut was a huge mess, and he had tons of footage and stuff, but like he didn't know how to put it together.
And he'd washed his hands of it almost. He was like, "Fuck this film, I don't even care anymore."
I think he thought it was going to be a failure too. But yeah, good editors, and then obviously the movies that are the best have like Empire. He's not involved in.
Right.
He's building Skywalker Ranch, and
Yeah.
Kirshner is directing it, and
then everyone said it was great, and his ego got all butthurt.
then he gets pissed, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Well, they're getting fucking Ewoks."
Yeah.
Well, there was nothing like that. You got the first act of this film. I loved all of the little glimpses of the Imperial shakedown.
Yes.
You know,
That was so cool.
How the authoritarian empire affects like real people's lives. Like you're on
Right.
the street and you're just afraid of them, and they'll show up at your house and they'll kill your whole family. Like that is another thing that I thought they could have done even more.
More
Like
for sure.
what's
Yeah.
it like living under the empire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's shitty. It's really bad. Like this is what it's like to live under an authoritarian government, and they did that a little bit, and then everything gets kind of lost in the like jumping around. And,
Yeah.
I
I'm
know.
excited to see just a very basic, almost like linear space adventure that doesn't really tie into, like it could be at this time, the time of the Empire being around, but just some story about some smuggler who's got to do something.
That's what I want
And it's-
too,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not affiliated with the Skywalker family or the grander scheme of the Star, but just a story that's set in that universe. would be
We're
great.
They're doing
going
that.
there more and more. It seems like so. Hopefully, that's where like some really interesting. I want a horror movie. I've said this a million
Yeah.
times. I want a horror movie set in the Star Wars universe.
That'd be
It can be
badass.
like 1,000 years in the past with like some dark Jedi hunting somebody down, and
Yeah.
just like Terminator 1, where
Yeah.
he's like
Yeah.
stalking Linda Hamilton. What's her name?
I don't know.
Sarah Connor.
Sarah
Connor.
Connor.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah, we all should have known that.
But
I
that-
didn't even try to think. I'm like, I don't know. Fucking. Anyway.
I want that, but like it's a Sith hunting some regular people down and them trying to survive against like this.
Man, how good would that be?
I know.
Awesome.
It'll have to happen eventually.
Because that was like the last 10 minutes. Of
Right.
That was like a horror movie down that hallway. People screaming like, yeah.
I know the lights flickering.
Yeah.
Or just a comedy one about two teenage smugglers who find a lightsaber by accident and get into all sorts of wacky trouble.
Pixar can do it. Like Disney owns Pixar now.
Yeah.
Have Pixar do like a light, goofy Star Wars.
I don't know,
movie.
Dude, Where's My Falcon would be quite cool.
Where's my Falcon? That's funny.
Well, they are making like a Han Solo movie, aren't they?
I know. I want them to
Young
stop
Han Solo.
rehashing the main line. Like what Steve's
Yeah.
saying. I want them to just go out and tell other stories.
Yeah.
Because if we have a Han Solo one, there'll be some moment where, because now we know he gets killed by his own kid. Spoiler alert. But now we know he gets killed by his own kid, so there'll be some line there where we'll be like, I hope I have children one day. They really bring people lots of
Or
life.
he'll say like, "I never want kids. Those things kill you."
Oh yeah!
Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
There
then
it
it'll
is.
Oh, yeah.
They just hold the frame on him.
Yeah, I
Han
know.
Solo has a neighbor. You only see the upper half of his face.
So we basically just want Home Improvement.
Star Wars. Yeah.
There could be a Star Wars sitcom. They could do
That'd
that.
be
on the
awesome.
channel.
A Star Wars sitcom. Can you fucking imagine?
Yeah,
Laugh
I'm-
tracks and all.
A moisture farmer who lives next door to a really annoying droid.
He lives next to the Owens. And Luke pops in now and then. Will you take me to Tashi Station? It's like, go back home, Luke.
He's drinking blue milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be really cool to have a movie that is sort of like back in the ancient Jedi days of like telling the story
Old
of
The
Republic.
game, Knights
Yeah.
of the Old Republic
Yeah.
or whatever. Those are awesome.
fantastic.
Everyone loves those
So
games.
good.
And
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are great.
I know it's one game that I played that is I think Star Wars true fans have to hate is I think it's called The Force Unleashed. It's where it has
Yeah.
Darth
never even
Vader's
played
apprentice.
and
Starkiller, right?
yeah,
Which
that's
is
right.
The original Luke's
Yeah.
supposed to be his last name was Starkiller until they changed
But
it.
at the end of that game, he and spoiler alert for anyone that's
Spoiler
gonna
alert.
play the game.
Spoiler.
He's so like strong with the Force that he pulls down a destroyer from fucking space to crash
That's right.
on his planet. And
Most
it's like,
frustrating part of the game too.
yeah, because
You
you're
had to like do the sticks up and down and
really?
up, and it was annoying. as shit.
yeah. But it's like if someone's that strong with the Force, you don't even have to have fucking destroyers anymore. Just if you're out in space, hey Starkiller, can you take care of that fucking
Just
ship.
crunch it.
Yeah.
Crunch it up like a can.
Yeah. I mean,
It
that's
just-
at the end of the Rogue One, though, when they had that Hammerhead cruiser.
That was cool.
It was badass, but the whole time thinking, like, no way could that ship push that other ship. And then
Oh,
maybe,
yeah.
Space,
like, I was
though,
starting to
there's
stir
no
like
fr-
the
there's no friction.
logistics, though. I was like, I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
because the Star Destroyer's thrusters are behind it. So
well,
it
that
can
one was
only-
disabled. They pushed the disabled one.
Oh, was it disabled?
Yeah,
okay.
they disabled one, and then it was just
Gotcha.
sitting there. And
Because in space there's no resistance. There's no
Right, so
friction.
but you still need
Nah.
force to move mass
Yeah.
I know, but like you don't need
as much.
as much,
Yeah.
right?
It's like
Right.
being underwater.
They
Yeah.
could've-
Yeah.
Like legitimately, they could have just opened a soda can on the side of it.
Shook up a soda can.
Yeah.
Watch this, guys.
Or like
There's
that-
just a stormtrooper out the
Or-
back holding like a fire extinguisher.
he goes, get us close to that Star Destroyer. I have an idea. And then he just sticks his butt out the window and goes,
I have a super nerdy and pedantic complaint relating to Star Destroyers. The scene where it's floating over the city in Jeddah.
yeah.
Star Destroyers, just because something floats in space does not mean it floats in
Yeah.
gravity
That's right.
above a city. And it's not. There's nothing even on. There's no boosters on. They finally turn on their engines to like float away. But I'm like, that can't just because things float in.
right.
Yeah.
Gravity is a thing. Just because you want a
Yeah.
cool shot, you don't get to pretend it's not.
But it's Disney
I thought
and they do
about that.
cartoons. It was actually like that Star Destroyer was seconds away from going, huh?
Technically,
it was why it didn't know it was over open air.
that's
It's like
right.
Wile E. Coyote.
Wile E. Coyote on the edge of the cliff, just like pancake.
I have thought about that since you said that originally, and this is my theory. This is my scientific take on that. Because all these ships, they go out in space, and there's still gravity on the ship, which means that they've mastered that. They've figured out whatever gravity is. They've figured that out. And that now it's just something that's so common that it can be on the cheapest of ships. This
But
technology.
then why does
that-
the Millennium Falcon have feet?
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Like it lands on the ground with feet. Why doesn't every ship just hover then?
Maybe it's the anti-gravity technology is a real big battery drain, and they don't want to. It's
Yeah.
like leaving the lights on in your car when you walk away.
Do the X-wings float? Maybe they do. Maybe they have established previously that ships can like float.
It's
slightly.
possible.
I don't know. Luke had a horrible time getting his one out of the Dagobah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But when it's out, no, it goes down on its feet too. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but if they have the technology to simulate gravity, then you have the opposite must be true. If you can say there's gravity here on
Yeah.
the ship, anti-gravity must also exist because that has to be the same technology.
I guess. But do you even need engines then, or can you just move by like manipulating?
That's not gravity though. If you gravity isn't something you manipulate to move. You would have to manipulate space time, like what they're trying to do with that. Were you on the one? Yeah, you were. Yeah, you would have to expand space time in the back and shrink it in the front, so it has potential at that point.
Well, the nerd in me wanted an explanation of why the Star Destroyer wasn't fucking crashing into the
I'm with
city.
you.
Yeah.
That kind of-
Even if they had shown little jets around it or something.
You know what'd be really funny is like all this stuff that we're complaining about the movie, like they didn't have character development, they didn't do this, but they took a good 15 minutes to explain why the ship was floating over the city.
just a throwaway line. Just some guy going,
The hover thrusters are engaged,
Yeah.
sir. You know?
Just someone in the city looks up and they're like, I wonder how much energy they're burning to stay over us like that.
Goddamn
Yeah.
Empire. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It is the whole scene, like the city there, was really cool. 'Cause it's just nice to have a little bit of extra setup of like just the Jedi lore, I guess, because it's never really addressed in any of the films. It's addressed in the video games and in the extended universe, but
There was a
Right.
temple there, like the
Temple,
of
yeah.
the Wills
I
or
was
something.
say that was my biggest thing when I heard that. I was like, now that's the story I want to see because wasn't true one of the last guards of the temple or
That's
something.
what they were. They were like the last guardians of
And I make that like a mini series. Like do me 10 episodes of the last stand at the Jedi temple for the crystals and that.
They could have
would
made
be
it all
awesome.
about them trying to stop the. I mean, it seemed like that's what Saul Guerrera's little bandit force was
Yeah.
doing, was trying to stop the mining of
the
Je-
Kyber crystals.
Yeah,
right?
that alone is a cool.
Yeah,
premise,
that's
think.
what I thought. I was like, man, I want to see that story. That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
And again, those guys were presented as kind of bad guys. Like they weren't. Saul Guerrera's dudes were bad dudes that were torturing people and.
Right.
And I don't know. I just want that. I want the morally ambiguous. You can have the main trilogy be the squeaky clean. There's a good side and a bad side, and I want the other movies to give us some complexity of this. I think George Lucas may have been going for this with the prequels, where like there's so much politics and stuff. I think he was going for the idea that like there's a lot more complexity to
there's trade embargoes.
Galactic politics.
Everyone loves that.
Right, than just good guys versus bad guys.
I
But he
think,
did it in the most boring way.
his intentions about who bad guys are were pretty clear in A Phantom Menace. Our bad guys are very much a talker-act. They come,
I know.
We're very evil, our people. We talk like this for no reason whatsoever.
I know, it's so crazy how they just add that, like even Jar 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 was a very racist character because he talked like some southern.
So was Watto. Watto's like the money grubbing,
Oh,
hook-nosed Jewish.
I forgot about that. You're absolutely fucking right.
My tricks don't work on me. Only money and plenty of and Broadway musicals. I love.
God, that's a perfect impression of this guy. Holy
Perfect
fuck!
Watto impression.
Yeah,
I've never heard a fucking perfect Watto impression before.
Hey, Shmee, come here.
Yeah, you're right. He was totally supposed to be like a fucking Orthodox Jew almost.
know.
What the fuck?
It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
Just make that nose a little bit bigger.
Yeah, George. George
And he had a little hat. At one point, George Lucas had the little like dangly hair things.
yeah.
We gotta get rid of this,
Yeah.
George. We gotta.
Yeah, I
get
know.
rid of this.
Like I could just imagine George Lucas standing behind the person at a computer that's developing, and like you said, just make that nose. Keep going with it.
Give him a
Keep
yarmulke.
going.
Give him a yarmulke.
And then finally, when it came to the little dangling things, the guy's like, "Come on, really?
Yeah.
I'm Jewish. You know
Yeah.
that, George."
Yeah, we need a personality for somebody who like loves money. You know? Can we-
That's what George Lucas thinks like characters are. They're just like stereo. He just probably doesn't even know. He probably just thinks this is
know.
a stereotype.
Yeah.
Kids will laugh at it. Oh, and you're like, come on, dude.
Yeah, there was a line in there they cut out where he's like, "These Jedi's are for my sugar."
That's funny.
Watto's bar mitzvah was amazing.
That's funny.
You know, I still like the prequels were shit, but I still love the Phantom Menace. I mean, it's a dog shit film for the true Star Wars fan, but it's still a very watchable film. I think like the two after that are the ones.
I don't.
I'll stick with it, man.
The first 15 minutes are pretty good.
Yeah. Because you see that lightsaber first go through a door. You're like, you've never seen that,
That was
before.
cool.
And then they're running fast. I'm like, oh, I've never seen that before either. It's
Yeah.
great. It was pretty
Darth
cool.
Maul, awesome.
Yeah. They could have made him really cool. Like, he seemed like a badass.
I know he was one of the most badass characters in the whole Star Wars universe, and they just fucking kill him.
Yeah.
Or did they?
And
No,
then-
they bring
well,
him back in one of the cartoons or
Yeah.
something because
They-
they know that he's actually like.
But they give him
interesting.
robot legs. Like, he's like a
Yeah.
spidery thing. It's really weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because his brother, I watched it.
I should watch them. People tell me they're
Yeah.
good. The Clone Wars.
They are really
Yeah.
good.
shows.
But you know they're not in order. Like there's an actual order to them all, but it's not if you watch it by like season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And somebody
interesting.
went because they just every episode starts with this time and space, you know, and they do like a thing, and it literally jumps throughout the entire like Clone Wars. And somebody online made an actual episode guide of like, okay, start episode 1, season 1. Now go to season 2, episode 4. Now go to like.
Interesting.
Oh, is that
and then
right?
It's all in chronological order. Then if you watch it that way, it's
Have
pretty
you
crazy?
have you watched all those?
I've watched most of them, but I didn't watch them in order. So
Are they good?
yeah, I mean, I put
They
them on to
get
fall
better as
asleep.
they go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
That's the one with the main character is like the girl that has the two.
Ahsoka.
Yeah,
It's,
is that-
Twi'lek.
yeah, she's in there a
I
lot.
think that's what they're called, the Twi'leks.
The
Those-
Twi'leks.
With the two big dicks that grow out the back
Yeah.
of their heads.
Oh, yeah, tentacle porn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
gotta bang me in Ahsoka, Twi'lek. Wait, whoa, sorry, this went weird for a second.
No, it's funny because we were just talking about that before the podcast started. So
I
Just
agree
wrapping
with
back
you.
around.
I think a lot of Star Wars fans think that Phantom Menace is the worst, and I have a dissenting opinion that every single one that goes on gets worse and worse and worse. But I think it's because it's just by the time you're at the end, there's so much stuff they're trying to do with like the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan, which is supposed to be like the core relationship of the whole.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's nothing here. You blew like.
Yeah.
6 hours of character development, and now you're expecting us to like cry when one of
Yeah.
them screams, "You were my brother," and I feel nothing, and I feel maximum anger by the end of the.
yeah.
Do you
Why
reckon
is-
like Darth Vader was ever in the desert with stormtroopers on some mission, and one stormtrooper went, "Ah, God damn, sand gets everywhere," and Vader was like, Don't ever say that again.
Vader's like, promote this man.
Yeah.
Give him the red cloak.
Well, that
It's sad.
I always thought that.
It's so coarse. Guts are rawer.
Worst.
The best part about the
Worst.
prequels is whenever I meet someone and we get into a Star Wars conversation, they hear how much I bitch about them. I think they start to get this thing in their mind that's like, oh, this is one of those things where like true fans don't like this thing, but really they're like okay movies. And then I make that person watch them, and they're like, wow, I agree with you now.
Right.
Yeah.
Those were unwatchable. Even if I'd never seen another Star Wars movie,
yeah.
those were shitty. And I'm like, yes.
What are the biggest
sweet validation?
Like, I get the Clone Wars, and then what's the one after the Clone Wars?
Return of the Sith.
Or
Right?
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
But what is the biggest complaints about Phantom Menace?
Jar Jar.
Besides, I mean, yeah. Besides Jar Jar definitely being a Sith
I
Lord.
think it's
Misa
the
don't
most
know.
boring and the most like cartoony, like most goofy shit that doesn't make any sense, and it's just
Right.
like boring. The trade agreement stuff, and there's so many things that are like, you know, they go to rescue, or they go to get Anakin off the planet, but they like just have to leave his mother, and they don't care about like the slave trade,
Yeah.
and it just feels so everything feels contrived and forced, and.
Yeah.
And then they have a pod race for a while.
And the kid is annoying. Like it's like
Sebulba.
I mean, the biggest complaint about the whole trilogy is it failed. It's like its job is to show how Vader becomes Vader.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be about Anakin's fall, and they just in every single movie they just fail to like
Right.
make.
Yeah,
him,
they did fuck that
They
up.
just fail to show that. They make him first. He's an annoying little kid. Then he's like the most bratty, obnoxious, whiny,
And obsessed
punk.
with Padme. Like, they don't show, like,
Creeper.
a relationship
He's a
between them.
huge
Yeah.
creeper.
Like, he's like, I've just been thinking about you constantly.
I know, and she's telling him no, and he's like, "You were in my dreams last night."
Yeah.
I've been stalking your Instagram with one hand on my phone and one hand on my dick.
Anakin
One
is
hand
the
on my
kind of guy
lightsaber.
who goes back through your old profile pictures and just likes the ones of you in a bikini.
Yeah, from like 10 years ago. Oh, God, that's so true.
Yeah. And then you think he ever gets tired with his hands, so he just force pulls for a while. It's like, yeah. Let me
They
get
honestly though, they needed like Lucas was fucking. I think he was just caught up in like playing Hollywood, and he cast this young, good-looking dude.
Natalie.
Vader
Oh.
needed to be played by an amazing young talent.
Or he just doesn't know how to write him. I mean, he just wrote him as obnoxious and whiny, and he commits like genocide against the Sand people. And
Yeah.
in the second one, and he goes and tells Padme, he's like, "I killed them all. I killed the women. I killed the children." She's like, "You were having a tough time."
Right, yeah. You're
Yeah, well, you're going through a lot of stuff.
I killed your mom.
Did you have a Red Bull this morning? I've told you. That kid.
It's the sugar.
It's the caffeine.
Yeah.
You're always murdering children once you have caffeine. And,
You know, now
and
that-
he's undignified. Vader
Yeah.
is so dignified and scary and like a strong character, and then they make Anakin like this little wishy-washy, whiny bitch.
brat.
Yeah.
And
Why can't I be a Jedi?
yeah, Obi-Wan's
Right.
always telling me what I can't do. And then you go and watch Vader in Empire, and you're like, this is that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I say like any reminder of like his teenage years, Vader must just be like, "That's not me. Someone else."
What's your thoughts on Palpatine's character development throughout those?
It was. I mean, I think it's supposed to be George Bush, right? Isn't
Whoa.
there's like a rumor
Is it
that
really?
in the prequels, Lucas is like really upset with George Bush and starting these wars and blah blah blah, and so like a lot of the stuff is Palpatine is like George Bushy.
So what's his 9/11 then? No. George Bush conspiracy.
I don't know. It's
Well, he kicks off that whole war between.
it's like
he
a
sets
false
up
flag
the-
war between the
Yeah.
separatists and
There you
the
go.
Republic.
It would have
and-
made more sense if Palpatine was supposed to be an analog of Cheney. Because they kind of look
Yeah.
alike. And B, Cheney was the one pulling the strings of George Bush, supposedly.
Yeah, George Bush is more Jar Jar, right?
You've read the novels and stuff, right?
No, I'm like I'm a huge fan, but I've pretty much only seen movies.
Okay, because he talks about Darth Plagueis,
Yeah.
Right, that was
Palpatine.
before him,
and
right?
Plagueis was actually his master. And the stories of the three books that are the story of Plagueis are freaking great. But that actually, I'm pretty convinced then that this new Sith in Episode
is
Seven
Plagueis.
is
What's
Plagueis,
his
yeah.
name? Lord Commander Snoke. Yeah.
Snoke, yeah.
Fan theory that Snoke is actually Mace Windu.
I thought you were
That's
going to
out there.
say.
Jar
to the Jar
Yeah, it's
Jar.
gonna kill you.
Oh,
are you gonna say?
gosh.
I thought you were going to go back to Jar Jar. I don't know. I think
Everyone's Jar-
Palpatine's an interesting character. Like I think that's an
I
interesting.
think they did him okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
And that actor's good, and it's
Yeah,
it's
he's
the
a good
same
actor.
guy.
Yeah.
But and that's also an interesting story of like the person who, again, it fits with like the whole, Star Wars is about fascism, it's about anti-authoritarianism thing, that like this is the guy who came to power through like weaseling things, and then he
Right.
just keeps like removing the limits of his power. He dissolves the Senate.
Slowly.
Yeah, and then you end up with like the evil tyrannical dictator that you see in movies, and you're always like, how does a whole galaxy allow a guy like this to become like the evil emperor?
Jar Jar.
And that's all.
God.
You always see movies like that where like there's the great evil overlord who's the Dark Lord, but suddenly is control of all of this stuff, and then there's not enough movies that are like all the little things that fall into place that get him there. Again, the prequels completely fail, I think, at like delivering that in a coherent way.
Do you think someone will remake them one day?
Nah.
I mean, probably Disney will remake everything at some
Oh,
point.
that's a good point. Maybe.
On a long enough
I think
timeline.
they're going to keep making new ones, though, for a long time.
Especially if you can redo if actors dying is not
A thing anymore?
a limit to them being
That's
in movies
so
anymore.
weird. Like, characters can now truly live forever.
yeah.
weird.
And will like companies buy the rights to them? Like, did they have to go to like Peter Cushing's estate and be like, do we have the right to use his likeness?
That's so weird. Or
Or,
do you have to
when
sign
an actor
over...
dies, then they sign it over to a studio. Like, you're
You
allowed
sign
to
over
use
your
my
soul
likeness.
to Disney. Like, they own your soul. And we will
yeah.
continue to use it to make money. Wow.
I mean, it must be that
that's
way
trippy.
because once that technology becomes widespread, then like anyone can just put.
Yeah, it's
like,
only a matter of time.
Yeah.
before-
Jack Nicholson is in everyone's movies.
Wow.
Or also, like, if you didn't want to do a movie, and they're just like, well, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, why would we pay you? Why would we
Yeah.
pay you like $10 million to be in this movie?
Or even like,
shit, dude.
I
That's
wonder
a good
if you
point.
open yourself up to going even further beyond that, where you go, well, why worry about, say, creating a Brad Pitt? Like, movie studios like to take
Right.
some hot star and go, okay, we're going to build movies around you. You're going to do 4 romantic comedies and 4 action movies and da 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 da.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just do some market research, see what kind of
Like,
look
make the
people
Netflix
ideal-
Netflix is
wow.
going to
Yeah.
be like, what kind of person, what is the physical traits
Yeah.
that people respond the most positively to, and then they'll just construct the perfect
build a
actor.
star from the ground up.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the problem is you need the real life stuff that goes on in stars' lives to like sell things. Like you need them going on TV shows.
What?
And
Yeah.
Well,
But
isn't
I
like
guess-
one of the most
Maybe.
popular bands, like in Japan, they have that music, the music genre, J-pop or whatever it's called, right?
Mm-hmm.
And isn't one of the most popular bands there like not even real people? They're
Like
just
like what the Gorillas were.
yeah, sort of like that. But the like at the concerts, it's just like they do like the hologram shit, or they have like video screens of them actually playing, but they're actually none of them are actually real people. I think I read that.
That sounds
Google
like-
it.
Yeah,
Google
could be
people.
a thing. Could be a thing.
I'm just making this up. No, I think I did read that, but I
I'd
don't
go
know
see
much
the
about
I'd
it.
go see the Star Wars Cantina band if they
Oh
made
my God.
those
The
guys.
old Cantina band.
So, what should we play, guys? Same song? Yeah, okay, same song.
One more time.
How about that same song? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, speaking of that though, it was a cool callback in the Rogue One when we saw the Walrus Man or whatever. Like they bump shoulders.
the guy
and
who
they,
Obi-Wan cuts his arm off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be the same guy?
Was it a good callback though?
Yeah, that was a
Because-
good question. What
I
fan service
liked
was
it.
eye-rolly and what was...
Well, okay,
Good.
I got a slight problem because these two guys, they're in the city.
Jeddah that got blown
Jeddah.
up.
Yeah.
They got blown to
Forgot,
shit.
yeah.
They leave.
That's what I thought too.
They got out. They're bad dudes.
Yeah.
They gotta bounce around a lot. I don't know. Yeah, that's the one qualm I would say with that. Yeah, for sure. Well, I thought that was a nice touch. Whereas in like you brought the Vader thing, the choke you, like that was too much, right? So I don't know. Just
There
a
was
little,
more to
give me-
that
That was
actually.
too much.
Because
Give
then
me
he
little
goes,
flavors.
I don't want to force the issue.
Terrible.
You'd hate to see my dark side.
Why is your Watto so good and your Vader so bad?
I know.
James
No
Earl
one
Jones.
can do James Earl Jones. Come on.
You know, one thing that I was surprised about that with that scene is that the guy, who's the guy that the science, like the guy that isn't like the guy that gets choked. Does anyone know his name?
Krennic in the
Krennic.
movie.
Okay, so Krennic is
Smoking that Krennic.
yeah. So like if Vader is like, like I guess Tarkin would be the equivalent of like a 4-star general, basically, and then Krennic would be the equivalent of maybe like a colonel, based off how they talk to each other.
Yeah.
And then Darth Vader would be like complete, like more than what the president would be, almost like just this super high ranking whatever. Why would someone like that have the balls to talk to fucking Vader like he does in that scene?
And they
like
make
he's not even
comments
scared
about
of him.
it. They make comments about like, oh, you think that like you can just come here and talk to me? Wasn't there some kind
Yeah,
of
there
line
was a
about
thing
that?
that they did kind of
But it's
acknowledge
just
it.
because they wanted that cameo,
Right.
Yeah.
and like,
Well, but
Yeah.
all they all like.
but he's trying to jump his superior because he finds out Tarkin's going to screw him.
Right.
So, I
Right.
mean, I guess that's his last.
But he probably was also like, if he knows anything about the Sith, he knows that like maybe he's taking an outside chance that Vader's going to respect that. Like he thinks
that
that he's
could be.
making a Sith-like play for
Well,
power.
that's a good point. I don't
that-
think he knows anything about the Sith, but Vader should respect it regardless because that's a Sith move, right?
I guess, or I mean, there was that clip from the trailer that you said you really liked, where he's like trying to convince Vader that like the power of the station is immeasurable, and like that would have been kind of cool. Like him convince. I mean, it was also weird because like in A New Hope, Vader doesn't like the Death Star. Like he's not on board. He thinks you don't be so
Right.
impressed with this technological terror. It's nothing compared to the power of the Force. So like it
Don't try to frighten us with your sorceress ways, Lord Vader.
Yeah.
it would have been cool for it to be like there to be more like Vader being like, I don't give a fuck about this thing you've been building. Like this is the
Right.
Emperor's pet project. Like don't come to me with your like
your bullshit.
politicking bullshit. I'm not interested in it at all.
Right.
That whole cameo was a fucking mess. It
Yeah.
just I didn't like any of it. But
Except for that lightsaber fight.
no, that cameo
That
was
was
good.
good,
That's,
yeah.
that's
Just
what you
more of
want.
it,
Like
yeah.
shit goes when shit starts going bad for the Emperor, like the military side of the Empire. Then they're like, send out Vader.
Yeah.
Like put Vader on this because these fucking regular people are messing up, and then that's kind of I don't know.
Like Vader showing up should be a bad day for
Right.
everybody.
Right.
Right.
For the
right.
rebels, for the Imperials
They
who are
have
there.
that. They have that a little bit in the original trilogy and in this one because they talk about like if the Emperor and Vader have to come to the Death Star, like that's not going to look good. That's not going to be.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's gonna die.
Yeah.
Well, you said it, you were going to talk about it earlier, and I think I cut you off. But the character who is Snoke, what are the top fan theories on who that actually is? Like, and I guess what's everyone's personal opinion? Is it an old character that is sort of masquerading, or is it a completely new character?
I don't have any theories about it, but I hope that it's someone original. The one thing that gets the most tiring with the Star Wars movies, even when they're good, is like the small world syndrome, where like everyone is somebody else's
Right,
father
right.
or mother.
can always
Everyone's
find
related to somebody else,
Yeah.
or they've appeared in a like. It doesn't. I want less of that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm more concerned who about the Knights of Ren, because they show that one scene and there's like kind of those
Yeah.
other Sith guys we don't really know, but they were training with
it's-
Luke,
It's Kylo Ren's like,
like
emo band.
classmates. Yeah, like his
It's just
class,
like
the Knights
little-
of Ren.
They're
The
gonna be
Knights of
trying.
Ren!
They're gonna be trying so
Skater
hard.
friends.
They'll be trying so hard to make it
They're
all
just a
like
cover band.
family oriented, like it'll all be in the Skywalker family.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time they get to like episode 30, it's gonna be like, no, I am your father's daughters, uncles, cousins, friends, neighbor from 6 years ago.
I hope they stop at 9 with the like main trilogy Skywalker drama.
Yeah,
I hope they ended at 9 and they start at some other trilogy with a different family or something, because that is going to be so. Like we're gonna get to episode
Yeah.
30, like you said, and there's still gonna be like some other Skywalker, some distant cousin.
Yeah.
Right.
It's gonna be too much.
So is the next film the episode? I guess what is it supposed to be?
8.
Is that supposed to come out next year? Is that right?
Yeah,
I think so.
One
Next
a year,
December
I think,
for
one a year.
until we die. 1 a year until we die.
Yeah,
All my hopes are for episode 8.
yeah. I hope it's like
I-
evil, bad, like
Yeah, that's
hard PG-13.
I like some space boobies.
yeah, it was
that's
tentacles.
That's the one that I want to bring. So like, A New Hope was like this big popcorn action adventure. Like everyone loved it, but it was like simple, like good guys versus bad guys. And I feel like Empire kind of like elevated the whole original trilogy to like something that's like artistic, both in like the technical stuff of like how it's shot and the script and like the acting and the relationships are deeper. The fact that like the bad bad guys kind of win at the end of it. Like,
Yeah,
it's
nothing
much,
is expected from start to
Right.
finish in that movie.
It's very like it's very well made from a technical standpoint and very like deep and complex from like characters and storytelling. And we haven't like this movie could have been that, which I think is one of the reasons why I'm so like annoyed at I think how they failed to do that. But Force Awakens couldn't do that because it had to do the same thing like A New Hope did and been like the big popcorn, like Star Wars is back. It's the fun thing that everyone remembers and loves.
Yeah.
But now the middle episode of the trilogy, which is this next one, episode 8, like I want it to go back there and be
Right.
like back to like the deepness and the complexity, and I want it to be dark. They can't win because it's the middle chapter.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like get dark and get bad and like
Yeah.
punish these characters and make, try to break
Oh, yeah, punish
Finn
'em.
and Rey and
I hope they like one thing I hope they change is like Kylo Ren never really seemed that menacing for someone who's supposed to be like the new age equivalent of Vader. Like and I hope they did that so like when they bring it back, they like it's specifically set up like that so like you can say like this is a person that's trying to be a Sith.
he's a tryhard. Yeah.
Now he's taken the steps and now he's
Yeah.
you see his
He
decline.
killed his father, so hopefully now he's like no longer throwing his temper tantrums. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that was brilliant because I just kind of imagined them sitting around being like, how are we going to have someone be as menacing as Vader? And like, you can't top it. Like, I don't think they will ever be able to top it. He was so well done. But I like the idea of like, well, like instead of us trying really hard and it being obvious that we're trying really hard to be like Vader, why don't we just build that into the character's personality?
Yeah.
Like he wants to be like Vader and he's desperate to
He's
be that
worshiping.
menacing, and he's not because he's like brittle and he's emotionally damaged and he's still like a kid. But then he was still like dangerous, but it's dangerous because in like a temper tantrum way instead of like I'm in control of myself and I'm a menace way.
Yeah.
And so I think it was brilliant that they presented him like that, and I think he will, as the movies go on. Like like he's having a good descent into
Right.
Yeah.
evil.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
And Ryan Johnson is directing the next one. Do you guys know him? He did
No.
Brick and Looper, and he directed episodes of Breaking Bad, including The Fly, the one that's like takes place entirely in the lab, where like all the shit starts coming out between Jesse and Walt.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And
yeah,
he
yeah.
directed Ozymandias, which is like the most intense episode of Breaking Bad, where like all of Walt's shit comes up, and that's this. I don't want to spoil it, but that's the stuff where like the stuff with Hank goes down.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That was Ryan Johnson, so he's really good at like
Ooh,
depressing,
kind of excited now. Yeah.
emotional sparks causing your life to be destroyed kind of stuff. And Looper, I don't know if you guys have seen Looper, but I love that movie.
I've never seen it.
I haven't.
Oh, watch it. It's like a great sci-fi movie, time travel. And he's so like nerdy, and he works so hard in that to like make the time travel kind of make sense. And it gives me a lot of hope for episode 8 that he will.
Because we do need to wait until 7, 8, and 9 are kind of all said and done before we can fully judge the merits of 7.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so.
Because you do feel like at the end of episode 7 that they've set up some dominoes,
Right.
for some great stuff. I mean, whether we get it in episode 7 or whether we get it, in episode 8 or whether we get it in episode 9 or whether we get a shade of it in 8 and the ultimate of it in 9. Ray and
The black guy.
Finn.
no.
Kylo
fucking
Ren?
Kylo Ren. When those two face off, it's going to be amazing because you've got this incredible dynamic of she finds a father figure in the father of the guy, but he killed his father. So there's a whole
Right.
mess of shit going on in there. That's
And
gonna
I mean,
be really great.
you get one shot of Luke. Like that's part of the
Yeah.
fun of 8 and 9 is that like we get to find out what's fucking going on with Luke Skywalker.
I
Yeah.
never thought I would be that. Like, I feel like Mark Hamill's gonna bring something so choice, and like to go from being kind of really like when you see what he is in Star Wars in his first outing in Star Wars, and where he actually winds up in Return of the Jedi, Luke's actual arc through the original trilogy is pretty fucking amazing.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
You kind of don't even like him that much, I think,
In the first
A New
one?
Hope. Yeah, because
No.
he is he's not whiny in the Anakin way because he's still trying to be a good person.
Yeah.
But he's like young and naive, and then
Naive, yeah.
as the movies go on, he gets like kind of more and more broken, but like keeps doing the good thing, which is
Yeah.
why he's inspiring. That like he does all these bad things, and Empire. He is like. It's just like Luke is terrible at doing things.
Right.
Like he sucks at everything. It starts out he gets his ass beat by the Wampa and he's all cut up, and then he goes to Dagobah and he crashes and he can't learn the Force, and Yoda's
Right.
hitting him with the sticks and being like, "You're an idiot. You don't know how to
Yeah.
lift anything. You have no belief. You just want to go off and have adventures. You're reckless." And then he wants to go help his friends, which we can like empathize with, and we're like, yeah, he's like trying to be a good person, but Yoda's like, don't do it, it's a trap. Then he goes,
Right.
his dad beats the shit out of him, cuts off his hand, he's crying, he's like a little reduced to nothing.
Yeah.
And then finally in Empire, finally in Return, he like is the hero.
When he shows up at fucking Jabba's palace,
I was just gonna say that.
like death himself, and he's just
And
like
he's all in black now too.
all in black.
Yeah.
And this is what I think is the essential thing with Luke, and what, like, if you go back to 1, 2, and 3, but like there is that whole thing about how there's supposed to be some prophecy of someone who brings balance to the Force, and they all think that it's going to be Darth Vader.
Right.
And my assumption's always been that it was actually supposed to be Luke, and that the whole idea with Luke is that when he truly comes to know the Force, he comes to know it without a teacher. He has no indoctrinating influence telling him how he should approach the Force. He gets some instruction from Yoda. He gets some instruction from Kenobi, and he gets lessons from Vader, but Vader's lessons are in the form of like brutal combat and everything.
Yeah,
that
and
he
the
says.
Emperor.
And the Emperor. But then when he goes off, he essentially goes off on his own, and somewhere between episode 5 and episode 6, he kind of comes to his own understanding about the Force.
Builds his own lightsaber.
Yeah.
And that's why he's supposed to be this kind of balance agent, and that what he is ultimately, I'm hoping that it kind of comes out that his teaching that he passes on to Rey is that you're not supposed to be a student of the light or the dark, and it's actually
More
trying to
complex and-
separate
Yeah.
those two things, and there's
You
more
have
of
to
a
balance it.
yin-yang kind of a...
But now he's been reset even more, where like he has this big failure of like
Right. So maybe
fucking
his
up
way
Kylo
is wrong,
Ren,
right? Yeah.
causing Han's death. Like he's got a whole new set of
Yeah.
like
But it's funny you say that, because I always thought the prophecy, like Anakin, was true, that he does bring balance, but they think it's going to get rid of the Sith forever. But really, he kills all the Jedi, so then there becomes just, Luke and Obi-Wan, right? And then, for like, the numbers equal out, don't they? Because it's like Darth Vader,
well, there's still Yoda. There's
Yoda. Yeah, so there's Darth Vader, and then the Emperor, and then Yoda and Obi-Wan. So then there is balance now. There's 2 Jedi, 2 Sith. And then Luke comes around. And
Yeah,
then
it's
it's going to get
interesting.
messed up again. So in a way, he did bring balance by killing all those other Jedi. Bitches, I guess.
I don't ever speculate about that prophecy because it came from the prequels, and the original trilogy in like a hermetically sealed box in my mind, and I don't let those.
Yeah,
other
because
things
do you know what
affect
I
it.
only just remembered for the first time, and then my mind immediately tried to put a box around it and shove it.
Midi-chlorians?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The midichlorians.
My brain immediately went, no, it's not real, it's not real!
Don't try to match it up. Yeah.
What's the?
That's the thing in Phantom Menace that's like supposed to give you force power.
Oh,
You
yeah,
have,
yeah,
like
yeah.
bacteria. in
Yeah.
you.
Oh, that wasn't in-
Qui-Gon Jinn gives him a fucking blood test and goes,
Yeah.
well, turns out you're quite powerful!
So
Yeah.
that the idea of midichlorian wasn't in the.
Apparently, it was mentioned outside of the original movies, but it's never in the movies. I mean,
gotcha.
in the movies, there is some like weirdness where like, oh, I guess you can inherit force sensitivity,
Right.
Yeah.
but there is also there's like a little bit of implication that like you could just be a Jedi. Like if you're disciplined enough and if you're trained from a young age and you tap into this power, like
Right.
you could be a Jedi. And then in the Phantom Menace, it's like if you got the right blood type.
Yeah.
And the idea that
Master
Vader
race.
is like a virgin birth of the Force.
Oh
is-
my god!
Oh,
so fucking
yeah.
dumb.
I forgot about that until you just said that.
Yeah, we actually do need to pretend
Shmi's
those
like, there was no father.
Oh.
You're like, Jesus now. George Lucas doesn't know how to write a fucking story.
I know, God. Now that you're picking apart Phantom Menace, it's breaking this block, this
Just
wall.
rewatch it. Just rewatch it and be like, what are they doing with this?
Shmi, 3 wise men have come to visit your baby.
Ultimate
he's
small
probably
world
the dad.
syndrome. C-3PO is built by Darth Vader? Why?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wrong.
What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, that was.
There was too much trying to tie it all together.
I know.
Yeah, that was too much.
C-3PO is just a droid, man.
Right. Just let him be a droid. Why
Yeah.
can't he just
Yeah.
be a random droid?
No, it's- to bring it back to what you were saying about Mark Hamill, though, one thing I am excited about that he's involved in these movies is because I think of all the characters that are still alive from the original trilogy, I feel like Mark Hamill cares about the role
Oh, yeah.
more
for
than
sure.
anybody else. Because Harrison Ford and who's Leia? Fucking
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher. Like they went off and did their own things, but I feel like Mark Hamill of any other character is definitely it holds a more special place in his heart over anybody else that's still alive, and I think he's going to bring that.
I still get chills thinking about that moment in Return of the Jedi where Vader goes, "If you can't be turned to the dark side, perhaps she will," and he just lets out that guttural like, "Rah!" and then comes out.
That fight scene is like the most emotional fight scene I think for me in any movie ever. Where and he's just pounding on Vader over and over again. And then I've said this again. I've said this before, but like that, it is so amazing to me that they told this story where like the hero wins by not fighting. Like he beats Vader and then the Emperor's like, yes, do it. Like win by fighting. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like you can fucking kill me.
Yeah.
But like I'm not going to keep fighting.
Not crossing that line.
And it's like the old, like Yoda's telling him over and over again in Empire, like you don't need your weapon when you go into the cave. Like the only thing in there is what you bring with you. And like wars do not make one great. Like that's not what makes you a hero. You think I can't be a good Jedi because I'm small and I'm not a fighter. Another reason why the prequels are stupid, because they turn Yoda into like a flippy acrobatic fighter.
Yeah.
You're like, that undermines everything that Yoda is about. Wars do not make one great. He's not a good fighter. Like he's just one with the Force.
Yeah.
And then
God
finally,
damn it. You're fucking right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Finally, Luke gets like that's the lesson that like he's not learning the whole time, and because he's angry and he's young and he wants to be a hero, and then he finally learns at that last moment, like, no, I'm not gonna like do this,
and saves Vader,
and that's the thing that redeems Vader,
right?
Because then he sees his son not doing it, and
Yeah.
that's the only. I mean, that's what beats the Emperor.
Yeah, the Emperor pulled that trick too with the Count Dooku on Anakin, and Anakin fell for it, you know, because he's like, kill him, because he had the lightsabers right there, and so he crossed that line, and then there you go, right?
Yeah, and I also liked Force Awakens. They didn't let Rey make that choice yet, because she beats Kylo Ren, and he's laying there, and she's walking up with the lightsaber, and then they just separate him. Like, nope, you don't get to make the decision yet.
Yeah, interesting.
So I mean, at some point she will, and you know, does she kill him or what does she do? But
I just can't wait to see Hamill's Luke Skywalker in this.
There's going to be like extreme gravitas.
Yeah.
There's going to be so much like emotional weight behind everything Luke Skywalker says.
And I just hope he cooks her a shitty stew.
I hope he like Yoda's her.
Yeah, exactly. Yoda's her. Cooks her a really shitty stew.
Rides around on her back.
I was just about to say that. Can you imagine? I think, you know, like one of the big differences between the ending of Rogue One and the ending of Force Awakens, though, is like at the ending of Rogue One, I was like, okay, cool, the movie's done. Like that was a good movie. Like I liked it. But at the ending of Force Awakens, when you see Luke again after all these years, and you know just by the look on his face that he's gone through some shit, and then it just cuts the movie. I remember was like
they should have just cut the movie. They did like a Lord of the Rings helicopter shot for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, but still,
but
like, but I remember just walking out of that.
I wanted
like,
to hear her like from a distance go, "Can I put my arm down now?"
Yeah. But I remember like walking out of there, like it was a good shut off for the movie, you know what I mean? And I walked out of there like content. Whereas with like one of the big things of Rogue One is I walked out of there just like happy because it was a good movie, but also still trying to get like just
piece together the point of what you saw.
Like I wanted a little bit more of an ending where I'm just like, you know. Good.
You know, I walked out of that movie going, I really want to go see this again in the movie theater. And then the next day I was like, hey.
Which one was that? Rogue One?
Rogue One. Then it was kind of like, now I'm kind of like, I'm going to watch that film a lot, but I can probably hold off until I can watch it.
I was surprised.
That's how I am with
one of our friends went to see it last night, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll go and see it again. And I was kind of like, I don't feel like it right now.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you want to see it again,
I do,
but you don't feel like you have to go see it again in a movie theater.
Also, this is not a criticism of the movie, but like I find 3D so obnoxious.
Yeah, I don't ever go to a 3D unless it's IMAX. 3D.
It was IMAX 3D.
Really?
Like, that's how Ryan and I saw it, and it's definitely
cool
in some scenes. But there's so many times where you have to look where the 3D is focusing, or it gives you like a headache. At least for me. And I also feel like it ruins beautifully composed shots.
It does.
Like shots that are like a photograph. It ruins it because it's like, nope, this person is way in your face, and then the background's super fuzzy and blurred out. Well, it just doesn't have that like you're looking at a beautiful photo effect.
I can't do the 3D thing, and I'm glad that I didn't see this one in 3D because
there was cool shots in it.
I was blown away by the X-wing cockpit shots.
Yeah, they're
whatever
cool.
lenses they got or whatever they did to those shots. They made them look exactly like.
I like the ones mounted on the wings that were like old war movies or something, where you're seeing it from the wing as it's like turning.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Obviously, CGI, you don't need to mount a camera on the wing to do it, but like they did it anyway, and I really like that.
Dude, that was
feeling.
the other-
It was a throwback to the original.
Did they do it in the originals?
Well,
I don't think they did.
like a wing mounted camera.
Yeah.
I guess what I was more thinking about is like the cockpit views where it showed the people in the cockpit.
Yeah, those are.
Yeah, Red Leader. That
It
was
really
awesome.
made me feel like I was in the same universe with that.
Yeah.
'Cause with-
that part for sure.
And it was almost like, as well, with, you know, you go back to 1, 2, and 3. It was like Lucas made all these beautiful CGI things, and then he was scared to get them dirty. Whereas everything in this
everything's
road
so
looked
clean.
shitty and lived in and fucking
Yes.
scarred up and rusty, and you know,
yeah, it's yep.
yeah. But it was like everything, and it was like shiny and pristine and silvery.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get that there are some lovely bits of untarnished galaxy, but even the dirty parts of the galaxy looked
He
clean.
hates sand.
Yeah.
It gets everywhere.
everywhere. Gets in all the cracks and crevices.
Remember that scene in that
No,
movie where it's
you said it twice, and I'm like, what is that from?
From the second one, it's from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. When
Who
him
says it?
Had me, and they're like
Anakin.
having their little like lakeside retreat
Yeah.
And we're laying
where
the
he's
flowers.
floating apples around and stuff. and then they're sitting on the hill, and he's like, "I think there should be a dictator. I think if people don't agree with you, they should be made to agree with you." And she's like, "Interesting political perspective. Let's roll around down this hill."
Yeah.
And then at some point she's talking about Tatooine, and he's like, "Oh, I hate the sand. It's so abrasive, and it gets everywhere."
How does she
he
not
jumps
hate
on
him?
the back of that fucking
I know how.
thing.
How could she not? She
He's
does
the
kind of
antithesis
hate him.
of like what she stands for. Her whole life's been about. And
I
he's
know.
like, we should have a dictator. You know.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh,
Maybe that turns her on though. She's like, all right.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
like-
opposites attract.
He's like, I hate. We should have a dictator. I hate that people can make up their own minds, but I love chasing giant emu-looking things around in meadows with yellow flowers.
If you watch Attack of the Clones with the thought in your mind that Natalie Portman finds him disgusting and gross, but she has to pretend like she doesn't because you can pick it up. I swear you can sense that from her acting.
Really?
That she's like, this fucking guy. I would never fuck this
Yeah.
guy ever. But she has to pretend like she's kind of being like the
Romance.
romance is kind of happening.
Yeah.
There's
But it
just no chemistry.
There is no chemistry.
She
at all.
constantly looks like someone has put an ice cube down her back.
Yeah.
And George Lucas is
funny.
dressing her like a dominatrix, where she has like a neck thing
So
with like a
hot.
chain off of it, and
Yeah.
What?
Oh, what was that all about, eh? But then I reckon even in I think it's in Revenge of the Sith, I swear there's a moment where it's like Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman are trying to deliver dialogue to each other without laughing.
I believe that. I mean,
I think it's when he goes... Because one of my biggest gripes with that was the use of younglings.
Yeah.
Right? They go, he killed the younglings. Say he killed the children, it's way more intense.
Yeah, I
Saying
like
he
that
killed
word.
the younglings is like he killed the younglings. What, did he have a jar of tadpoles that he threw out?
Oh my god!
The
I'm never gonna-
younglings, what is my emotional connection to that supposed to be?
Yeah.
then she dies from grief. From the robot. That's
Broken
the
heart.
robot's diagnosis. He's like, looks like she's dying from a broken heart. And you're like, you're a robot.
Yeah. It's
Oh
just
my
dying from
God,
a-
dude.
But like, it just shows how disconnected George Lucas is from being a human, because any mother will tell you that the one thing that's going to heal a broken heart is probably having 2 fucking children. You know what I mean? She's so heartbroken and sad. I mean, she just had 2 kids, which is probably one of the greatest things that can happen to you. But she's really sad. And then they just pass the children in front of her, and she goes, Luke, Leia, gonna die now.
You know,
It's just
So
so
sad.
unnecessary, because
Yeah.
why not have Vader kill her? He chokes her, and then she's dying, and then they're just... George Lucas is like, no, we need to go more dramatic. She's not dying because Vader choked her. She's dying from a broken heart. And everyone in the room is like, brilliant, George. Brilliant,
Really?
George.
So good.
We're
yeah,
gonna
he
print
must have just
money.
been surrounded by yes men. I
That's,
guess.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and
he
then
is.
some guy leaned over and he goes, do we really think this is Shut the fuck up.
Don't you like living here?
I just put a down payment on a Ferrari. You fucking retard.
They're just like, it's Star Wars. It doesn't matter. This is going to make infinite money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forever and ever and ever.
I don't know. I guess I've like I like those movies because they're Star Wars movies, and I still watch them, and I still like the Phantom Menace. The other two I'm not on board with, but you're right. It's just because it's Star Wars, people
Do you
just get
think
along.
they're going to keep making? They're going to make so many of them that eventually it's going to be like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. A while ago, just yesterday, actually. This one's really recent.
One part about I guess why we're harping on the original 3. One part that I didn't like is when Samuel L. Jackson's character, what's his name?
Mace
Windu. When he's like trying to kill Emperor Palpatine, and then like Emperor Palpatine's head gets fucked up. Did anyone else notice how like gigantic his head became in that moment? Like
The layers
of all the
makeup.
yeah, like that was the one part that I'm like, I don't know if I really like how, like, of all the ways to fuck up his face, they just gave him like 2 big bumps right here, and then it was a little bit bigger. But
I mean, they're trying to match him up to the Emperor in the original trilogy, who's like all fucked up. But
he just
you
got
don't see
twisted
the
up
rest
by
of his
evil.
head.
They don't need to go. And he was electrocuted by lightning so bad that his face
it's
changed.
just George Lucas not thinking you have to show things that you don't have to show, and then avoiding showing things that are like crucial, and being like, fans are gonna love this. We're gonna show how the Emperor got old looking.
right.
You're like, you don't need to show that.
We just assumed he got old.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is he's really evil. He's really evil and changes how he looks.
And even, I think like he was supposed to be some weird fucked up alien-y looking thing anyway.
In the original Empire, he has like they put baboon eyes. They put fake baboon, however, how did you used to do CGI?
They just like overlaid like plate
Oh,
shots.
really?
Yeah,
Cool.
but then they took it out in the special editions.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
And then they just made him look
Oh
like he
man,
does.
I forgot about the special editions.
Yeah.
The other travesty.
Lucky you.
The other travesty, yeah.
Jabba the Hutt, someone so intimidating and fierce that Han Solo will casually step on his tail.
And for a gag, for
For a
stupid
gag, yeah.
physical gag. That's where they introduced the dance number that Ryan was talking about. It's
Yeah.
in Jabba's palace.
Yeah,
They
that's
gave
right,
her
in
like,
the special.
and her like cartoon lips are like right in the screen, and she's
Yeah.
screaming.
Yeah,
and it goes on for like 2 minutes, and you're like, what is happening?
And they already
It's
had
like
a
Jurassic-
puppet version of that. Like,
Right, but
if
it was like just like shorter, and it like
they
cut to
should
her
just left
singing,
that puppet
and then
version in. Just throw that back in.
Nope.
That would
Yeah.
be fine. Yeah.
Because that even
Special
wasn't that
editions
bad.
of Jurassic Park needed Jeff Goldblum's character from of the special editions of Star Wars needed Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park to be there. With CGI, we spent so much time wondering whether or not we could. We didn't wonder whether or not we should.
That's awesome.
there's the fuzzball guy who like is playing. He's like screaming. He's like
Yeah.
1, 2, 1,
He's
2,
like
3.
Waka or whatever in the drum.
Yeah.
That's right. He
Animal.
counts them, man.
I know. It's pretty sweet. I still have. I saw new this the other day. I was able to download the original 3 Star Trek movies pre. They're like ones that someone put in digital format, but pre the.
Harmies? Is that what they're? I have Harmies.
I think it is. Yeah.
There's like a project by this guy whose internet name is Harmy, and it's to get HD versions of them, because the best versions of the theatrical releases were the Laserdisc. Yeah, Laserdisc.
I have them.
I keep saying
Wow.
Laserdisc that was included with the DVDs of the special editions.
Yeah.
Huh.
I
Wow.
have digital. I mean,
The Laserdisc?
I know a guy who has digital copies of those Laserdisc versions in
Yeah.
HD. If anyone wants me to
I
see,
think
if
those
he's-
are Harmons. He went through and he even cleaned up some of the stuff, like the green screen, like the matte backgrounds and stuff. But he like color corrected them. But he took transfers from the Laserdiscs, and he took them from different places where you can find them, and he
Wow.
like reconstructed the theatrical one as close as he can. And he
I'm
releases.
gonna download those tonight, because I don't think I have probably his latest versions of those.
Yeah, I don't think I have him either. He keeps releasing updated ones as they get like better footage. But I think this this might be confirmed. If it's not confirmed, it is definitely a rumor that Disney's going to release them now because they own Lucasfilm. So like, they're going to actually release the theatrical. I mean, he was so crazy about it. He wouldn't let like AFI, American Film Institute, show them when they were showing like classic movies from each decade. And they're like, well, we want to show the original Star Wars. And he's like, you show the special edition. That's real Star Wars.
Wow.
There's a quote that is so pathological from him about the prequels, where he's just talking about how like, oh, you're never really finished with a movie. They just drag you off of it and they tell you it has to be done. And it's a director's prerogative to go back and keep working on it because a movie is never really done. And you're just like, dude, you need to let go. Like,
Yeah.
He's a really good example of, people who just
Can't
like
quit.
the word gets thrown around so much now, obviously, but like, you know, living in your own little echo chamber.
Yeah.
Like he literally was in a different world.
But it started to feel like spiteful. Like the Blu-ray releases of the original trilogy, he added in Vader saying no when he picks up the Emperor at the end of Return of the Jedi. So there's that really like amazing, unbelievably amazing scene where Vader's watching Luke be electrocuted, and he's like looking back and forth between the Emperor
it's all
and Luke.
just happening in his helmet.
And it's just his helmet that used to be like this menacing thing, and now you look at it and you can tell he's conflicted and he's distressed about what's going on just from the helmet and what you know about the character.
Yeah.
And then he picks up the Emperor and he throws him over the edge. And George Lucas added the no that's like Revenge of the Sith when he gets out of the suit, when he gets out with the suit and they say, "Oh, Padme died, you killed her," and he screams no. They added the same no to him killing the Emperor, and it just feels so spiteful, like, because everybody hate that and made a huge joke out of it. And there's the whole "do not want," because the Japanese translation there is no, so the subtitles in Japanese were just "do not want."
Is that where that comes
Do
from?
not want! Yeah, and it was just the laughing stock of the.
Oh no!
It's just the laughing stock of the internet, and it seems spiteful. He's like, "Oh, you hated that so much? Now I'm putting it into the end of Return of the Jedi."
Jesus.
How many franchises that were like the work, or at least appeared to be the work of like this one creator's mind? How many franchises are you happy when they sell out to like a mega international corporation? None, except for Star Wars, where everyone's
exactly.
like, "Thank God Disney bought
Yeah.
Star Wars." Right?
Damn!
That's so true.
Well, I think we should think about wrapping this one up. That was a fun episode. I think we definitely vetted all our Star Wars needs, wants, hopes, thoughts, opinions, all the above. It's funny because I feel like Tim's going to listen to this episode and just wish that he was here on this one.
He's definitely going to wish he was here.
He'll be furiously making notes.
Okay, guys, I've got a few things we need to talk about here.
Well, it's funny because Tim is such a huge fan of the prequels. You guys
Really?
probably knew that about Tim. Yeah, Tim is a gigantic fan of the
He
prequels.
he has a Jar Jar poster in his
does.
bedroom.
Yeah.
Wow. And does he get laid? Is he married?
He only has
he
sex
has two
with
kids.
people if they dress like Padme.
I have that same. It's weird.
No, Tim loves the prequels. So, you know, if anybody is listening to the episode this long and they really want to just
It's
show
because
Tim
his
their...
personality is a
Yeah.
lot like young Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Jar Jar. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's true, yeah.
He feels a lot of kinship with Anakin Skywalker.
Particularly, like, legit, if you ever want to engage him in a conversation about how it was really good that Darth Maul was killed off in the first movie, how sad it was that Jar Jar Binks didn't play a larger role in the second and third one.
He'll buy you a drink.
He'll buy you a drink.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Little known fact about Tim. It's almost like a life hack with Tim. If you do those two things, he will buy you a drink.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But no, thanks guys for coming on. This was a really fun episode. I appreciate it. I don't even think I want to do plugs on the outro for this one, but what I do want is for you to give one more impression of that dirty Jew that...
Whoa. Hard J,
Well,
bro.
I actually forgot his name.
RJ.
What is his name? Wob?
I am
Watto.
not Jew. I'm
Watto.
just flying crazy creature with a big nose and weird yarmulke thing, okay? Give me some... What does he say? Republic credits.
He practically asked for shekels.
Awesome. Hey, guys. Thanks a lot. See ya.
Do not want.
Bye, everyone.